Hey everybody, how are you? Great to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. This is Boxing Day. I think that means you put everything back in the boxes and give it back. Isn't that? I think that's what it means. I'm not giving my presents back. I hope you got something great for the holiday season. I have something great for you for this holiday season. Our best of. We've collected clips throughout the year. Great moments, great insights, great conversations for all of you on this holiday season. The best of this week in Google. Enjoy.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig. This week in Google. Episode 488 for Wednesday, December 26th, 2018. The year's best. Well, happy holidays, everybody. I wish Jeff Jarvis and Stacey Higginbotham could be here, but we gave them the week off, as I think is appropriate on this Boxing Day. We want to, instead of doing a new show, give you some of the best moments from 2018. Thanks to our producers and Karsten Bondi especially, who put all this together, our editors. We have some of the best moments of 2018. So I'm going to sit back, enjoy some eggnog, and as we travel back through time, some of the best moments from this week in Google 2018. Enjoy. Speaking of sealing the deal, Logan Paul, God dang it. This is the YouTube, I got to say, the nihilistic YouTube star who is, he and his brother have done things like burn mattresses in the swimming pool of their Beverly Hills home to generate YouTube views. They took the cake on this one. He was in the famous suicide forest in Japan and posted a video of a suicide, which I won't show, of course. In fact, he took it down after 3 days and 6.7 million views. But, I think the point is clear here. As some have pointed out, no AI is going to be able to find that video and block it. And there is an intense race now to become the next most extreme thing. You saw it last year with PewDiePie and his racist stuff.
Let me try to find some good news in this, which is that our norms survived this. That he was roundly condemned at all quarters. He had to take it down. He had to apologize.
And Logan Paul were, yeah.
And might have ruined his chances to make money. That's up to YouTube. I think they should ruin it. And so. There are limits, and that's what we're setting. That's what we're negotiating. It's what we're trying to figure out. Now, can we automate those limits? That's hard at scale. The scale where we are is very hard. But norms won. Civilization won. Civilization didn't say, "Oh, okay, what's the big deal? It's a video." No, civilization said, "F you,
right,
Mr. Paul,"
right,
and made him take it down.
But do you think he'll have long-term harm, or maybe it will in fact help build his brand?
Well, that's same with PewDiePie. That's up to, in great measure, the platforms, whether they choose to have their brands associated with the likes of this. If I were a brand, I would say no. One strike, you're out. No.
PewDiePie is still on YouTube. All they did was they took him off of their VIP advertising program, which did cost him millions of dollars in ad revenue. He only made $15 million last year.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's such pressure. It's like linkbait. And when it was mainstream media, I think there were, societal restraints that kept them from going too crazy. I mean, they went crazy enough with reality TV and stuff. But I feel like on YouTube, first of all, it happens so fast that, and second,
that's the issue.
Yeah, it happens so fast that 3 days he gets 6.7 million views. Those views cannot be taken back. I don't know how many kids saw it. I don't know how many kids were damaged by it or upset by it.
Well, another question there is how long did it take people to report this? That's to me the most disturbing part. And then the second is how long did it take YouTube to react?
Apparently, it was reported.
Right.
Some say it was reported, and YouTube did not react.
And that's
But
YouTube.
also,
that's bad on YouTube.
If it's ramping up that fast, it would probably be in the top, fraction of a percent of videos on YouTube, and so therefore should be on to review queue quickly.
Right.
YouTube has a lot of videos, and you can't review them all. We know that, but it should be able to review the ones that are ramping up the trending.
Well, you both have
stuff like that.
teenage sons or young sons as I do. Henry's 23.
Still just no, they're not teenagers more, but 21 and 22.
Yeah, and same. Jake is about that age. 25. So I'm on the boat with these kids, and I'm watching the videos they like, and they have and they've developed a very extreme taste for videos on YouTube. This has pushed them to a more extreme taste, and the stuff they watch is, and they were telling me about the people they like. They watch a guy who eats hot peppers, hottest pepper possible. When you watch him in agony as he's eating this pepper, they love that. They laugh, they howl. There's some other guy who is just completely an anarchist. He has a beautiful set, starts his show, before he gets his first guest on, he destroys the set. And then does the show. And there's this appetite for more and more extreme stuff, and the kids eat it up. They love it. That's what they want. And of course, when they try to watch something like this, it's like, well, nothing happens. You didn't blow anything up. What's going on?
Well, even David Letterman back in the day threw things off the roof.
Yeah,
and I have immense respect for him. But yeah, he was in essence doing a baby version of the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that mainstream media, because they were run. I'm not praising mainstream media by any means, but because they were run by big corporations like General Electric that had reputations to maintain, there was always a little bit of a lid on this. I mean, obviously, Google and YouTube are big corporations who have a reputation to maintain, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's such incentive to get more and more extreme. I don't see it going the other way. I don't see it calming down.
No, and it's the issue of scale too. It's that case on YouTube of the ridiculous made up videos. That figured out how to manipulate the system.
Right.
Yeah. The stuff like synthesized kids' cartoon videos, generated by algorithms. That stuff is creepy. There's a sort of, and this is in Charlie's talk as well. There's people are now starting to throw weird AI machinery at these things to try and make stuff up that's more convincing.
Right.
But also they're attacking. It's attacking at multiple levels. It is this weird thing of what they're actually trying to do is game other computers. So it's sort of adversarial AI fighting AI. They're trying to game the ranking algorithm in YouTube. They're trying to game the censorship algorithm in YouTube as well. They're trying to produce something that looks enough like the things that should be let through, but will fool the ranking algorithms and therefore generate ad revenue.
I feel like
it's very, very strange.
Nick Bostrom was sort of right, but it's instead of paperclips, it's the 4chaning of the world. The entire world is just going to turn into 4chan.
But okay, this is why I'm going to go back to my good news thing. There was also a study out this week that said that, all of the talk about fake news in my world, and, I've got money to deal with it, said, the impact is actually very small.
Oh, I hope that's true. I hope that's true.
Another study, these were both on the rundown, said that, let me see if I got this one straight. This one said that when, and I'm not picking on Trump in this case or Trump voters in this case, but when Trump voters, Trump fans were exposed to stories about the Russian connections, their opinion of Trump and trust in him decreased, which is to say that news has an impact on people. Mm-hmm. You put the two together, and there is an opportunity for a flight to quality here. There is an opportunity for us to negotiate our norms for an improved society. You're going to hear my spiel for the 100th time. It's early days, 1479, Gutenberg years. We're figuring this out. We're smart as a civilization. We will figure it out. Society's not in the dumper quite yet.
So this was an IoT CES, right?
It is. That was the big theme of the show. If I'm pushing anything, it's all IoT all the time.
Like a multi-cooker with the assistant built in?
Okay, let's not focus on the assistant. The big focus, everyone's like, voices everywhere.
Yeah.
But what's really awesome about it is the fact that voices everywhere means we finally stopped talking about standards. We're never going to get there on standards, but we found a way around it.
You mean like Zigbee, Z-Wave, and all that?
All of that, yes. And even things like device schemas, which super nerdy, but like saying things like, I'm a light bulb. I can do the following things. Like my hope was there would be like a universal protocol that does all that. We never got there, but now because the Amazon Echo and Google Assistant and all they're building that for us. So it's not ideal. I would rather have it be more open, but it's where we are.
Hey, cool. Did you tell us about some of the devices or things you saw that you thought were interesting?
Okay, so you guys are going to be so mad at me, but I haven't had much of a chance to walk the show floor. So I've got a couple things that
You've been doing meetings the whole time?
I've been doing a lot of meetings. Kevin is the guy walking the floor.
Okay.
But I do have some cool stuff.
I would never call Kevin a floor walker, but okay.
Oh, that's what he excels at that. He walks through and he's just like talking to people.
He's a runner, floor runner.
Exactly. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Kevin TOEFL?
Matthew. Kevin TOEFL.
He's my partner.
I know.
It's awesome. Okay.
No, it's fun.
So the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to decide. Okay. One for normal people. I love the fact that both Kohler and Delta are doing faucets with not just Amazon Echo enabled, but are doing it to add additional values. So you can tell your faucet, dispense a cup of water, and it will do it.
Exactly a cup.
Exactly a cup. Or you can even train it like my spaghetti pot. I can train it like fill the spaghetti pot, and that means fill this much water.
That's cool.
And then later on I can do it. So I love that. I also saw some cool, this is super geeky, but Bosch was showing off a MEMS projector that basically is this tiny 30 by 70 millimeter module. And what it can do is it can project a display at 480 to 720p. It can even run video, and you can actually interact with that display on any surface, including your skin. So your couch, your skin, your, kitchen table, like an Amazon Echo-like device could project an image of the people walking up to your door. Or,
so you don't need a screen. It almost could just appear.
Yes, that's exactly it.
I like that.
It's awesome.
Is that available this year, or is it a concept? Or
no, it's an actual working. It's a MEMS product, so that's a semiconductor product. So people will have to build that into their devices. So you won't see that for another, 18 months to 2 years. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's cool. Low power.
It's relatively low power. What's unique, the most unique thing about it is its form factor is now small enough and that it can project on any surface without messing things up.
Neat.
Oh, look, you found it. Look at you finding these things.
That's Karsten.
He's good.
He's the best.
It can do video?
It can show video. Actually, I don't think this is actually, that's the accelerometer. But that's okay. I did learn about the accelerometer. I can tell you why that's cool if you really want to know.
They use MEMS. They use MEMS for that as well.
Yeah, MEMS are. I always explain MEMS to people like MEMS are the hidden heroes of the Internet of Things.
Yeah. Because
MEMS are these tiny things that take the analog real world signals of every day and they convert it to digital for the computers to read. So you've got the real world meets the computer in this one tiny little device.
Neat. This projector uses lasers too.
Which
is cool.
Lasers.
So we were talking about this Bosch bathroom because they've got a toilet, they've got a shower, they've got a tub, they've got a faucet. I do like the idea of it kind of. You came up with it, and I mentioned. Well, the idea is you tell it to what temperature you like the shower to be, and have it warmed up and ready for you, and that kind of stuff. But now you know that the central hall has had a complete blackout for about an hour and a half. It's just now coming back.
Kevin told me that. He's like, I had to move.
What would happen to your fancy bathroom if you couldn't use it as the power was out?
All right, guys. Here's what happens. It reverts back to state. So I have a.
So it has a faucet.
Yeah, I have a faucet that's a capacitive touch faucet.
Okay.
And when the power goes out, then I use the handle.
Oh, okay. You just have to live like a.
Yeah, it's like a savage.
Live like a savage.
Well, we actually can't use anything. Now we can't because we have a generator, but we have well water.
Yeah.
So if we lose power, we lose that.
You lose the water too. Right. I know. Yeah, that's bad.
So it's like when an escalator breaks, it just becomes stairs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What else? What else? Come on, you're our eyes and ears in Vegas.
Okay.
More cool stuff.
More cool stuff. You put up. How long have you been there? When did you get there?
Monday.
Okay.
Go to our Instagram, and I'm not doing that to advertise, but I'm doing it to
What's your Instagram?
Offer It's Stacey on it's Instagram, whatever, /Stacey on IoT. Because then you'll see everything that Kevin and I have seen, basically.
Okay, you saw these little Sony smart speakers with Google Assistant. Nice.
Those are not exciting.
Not exciting. Here's the Samsung Smart Thing refrigerator.
So that's a really big deal. In like Samsung, 3 years ago, Samsung was like, IoT is going to happen. It's going to be open. It's going to be awesome. And it was very kumbaya. And Kevin and I made total fun of it along with the rest of the industry. This year, they actually are making that happen, and they're doing it at a higher level. So 3 years ago, they talked all about like Tizen and stuff like that. And normal people were probably like, bleh. Bleh. Now they've integrated all of their like 60 some odd apps into the Smart Things cloud. They built all of their backend cloud stuff is now Smart Things.
And
so this is the new interface.
This is the TV showing this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So your TV is going to be able to control all these crazy devices, and it's going to have the same interface across all Samsung products. So it's a big freaking deal.
And it doesn't have to be just Samsung. I see we have an Arlo camera on here. We have an air purifier, lights.
They have so many devices are already integrated. Oh, there's Kevin.
Kevin, and believe it or not, this looks like a selfie, but no, he's looking in the mirror. This is a smart mirror.
Oh, nice.
See, it's got the temperature. It's
I
got
want one of those.
The music. Yeah. So you're in the bathroom, you're looking at the mirror.
Nice.
It can be connected to a scale and a skin sensor, so you can see. That's from Haier. That's kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm getting a smart mirror shipped to me, I think next week, so I'll bring it on the show either next week or the week after.
I love this. I would get a smart mirror.
I wanted to build one.
How do you do it? Is it like something behind the mirror that shines through? I guess it is.
Oh, the screen on the mirror?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't.
Because I stayed in a hotel once that had a mirror, but when you turn on the TV, it shined through the mirror. It's just like one-way mirror or something.
There was a Google engineer who built one with a Raspberry Pi.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, we talked about
that. Oh, yeah, right.
Huawei. You can't use these because they're from China. Has a bunch of sensors, cameras, motion detectors. I'm just going through TDK sensors.
There's tons of sensors. Everybody has a smart home section.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. Lenovo, I'm sure we'll get there eventually, but Lenovo has a very nice Google Assistant. It's the Echo Show for the Google Assistant.
We talked about that, and I'm excited. They say it won't be out till the summer, so.
It's beautiful. And it sounds good.
Affordable. Oh, you heard it.
Yeah, it's got a 10-watt speaker in it.
Nice.
And it's, the big one's $249, the small one's $199, I think.
That's a very competitive price. That's basically an Echo Show, which is a 7-inch screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
It looks good. I think in Google, I do believe Google will probably win this race if you start thinking about what needs to happen.
They're starting to pull ahead. Here you are at the Wemo booth, and of course Wemo announced HomeKit compatibility across the board, which is a big deal because Apple HomeKit has been very slow off the block. But I notice a big "Hey Google" sign in the back there, so obviously they also work with Google.
And I'm kind of down on HomeKit. There's a lot of HomeKit compatible stuff. As usual, Apple is not here, but I just found out that earlier this summer, I'm trying to get rid of that blue line there. Earlier this summer, Lennar had partnered with Apple for HomeKit-enabled buildings, like smart new builds for homes, and they actually switched over to SmartThings now. So I was like, oh, that's no good. So,
you saw the Jibo there. Now I have to say, my Jibo failed, and I have a dead Jibo, which is really depressing. Really? But I wasn't too unhappy because I'm sure there's a way to turn this off, but I couldn't find it. The Jibo snored. I am not kidding. It would just.
That is totally a cute thing that it would do.
Like?
It's
the first time.
It didn't sound like it would just like make little sounds every once in a while, which was disconcerting.
That's to comfort you, Leah.
It didn't comfort me. It was creepy. So I was kind of glad when it died. I have to contact the Jibo folks, and I don't know if I want a replacement or I might want my money back on it.
How much was the Jibo?
$500. And that was a special Indiegogo price. I think it's more than that now.
There are a ton of robots here.
Are there? Did you
Oh, yeah.
see the Curry that we was our advertiser? Are they there?
I didn't see the curry. I saw, I want to say it was the Aurelius, maybe AEUR.
Curry was supposed to be out by now, and I'm worried that they aren't out.
It's hard to build a good robot.
It's hard.
Stacey, did you see the Chloe video? LG.
That didn't work. LG was trying to show their.
Oh yes. I saw that. I saw that after the fact.
The guy couldn't get it to respond at all. So I was very interested. I don't know if you saw this. Johnson Controls has a beautiful thermostat that's a glass.
The $319 Cortana thermostat.
Yeah, GLAS. I loved it.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I've seen it.
It's pretty. Go look for it because it's there.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
No, it is gorgeous. I'm hoping that technology comes down in price because that changed the game in the way Nest didn't quite in making a thermostat look like a luxury object.
Yes.
Like,
here's the Solace, My Home Solace 250, Google Assistant or Echo enabled, and this controls everything.
These are everywhere.
Everything. This is a very common category.
Yeah, panels of stuff with little tiles on them that control all your devices and have a bajillion radios. Yes. The
Fabaro, I like the name, smart plug. Monitors energy.
Yeah, with the USB charger on I like that because I was going to have to rip out all of my outlets and put USB chargers, and now I can just plug those in.
Plug a smart plug in from Fabaro. The Blink doorbell.
Mm-hmm.
Battery-powered front door. So it competes with our sponsor Ring. Looks similar,
It does.
Yeah.
And, Amazon bought Ring. Amazon bought Blink.
Oh, so this is Amazon's company now.
Now this is like... I think it was it Christmas? Like the 23rd or something is when it came.
You're right.
So,
and they don't charge a monthly fee for this storage, video storage. So that's a big problem, I think, with a lot of these devices is that they all add up.
Yeah.
It's the storage fees. You get pretty soon you're spending hundreds of bucks. Here's the NetAtmos Smart Home Bot.
It's like Lighthouse. But without the video, it's talk to it like a human being, and then it does it.
Could you switch the lights on? Oh, that's nice. Yeah. I'm just going through. Oh, the Spire. I had a Spire.
I did too, and I was kind of like, on this, but
it's supposed to make you breathe.
The new one is an activity tracker. Mm-hmm. So activity, respiration, heart rate.
Oh.
I feel like something else. And the coolest thing about this is you buy them in a pack of like 8 or 10.
Oh, this is a good idea.
Stick them in your underwear, and they're washable.
That's a good idea. Because that's the problem with all of these things. They're easy to lose. If you wash them, that breaks them. The one on the right is the original Spire. So they've replaced it basically with a...
Wait.
I think this is an additional... Because the original Spire didn't have all those features.
Right.
Oh, so this
is... Did you say stick it in your underwear?
Yes, she did.
That is where you're supposed to stick it.
Did that excite you, Matthew?
Not exactly, no.
Wait till you take my age.
No, when you get to your age, the underwear sticks you. This is the Kevin, which is named after your co-host.
Indeed.
What does the Kevin do?
I don't know. This is a Kevin
when
picture.
you leave home, it automatically makes sound and eliminates randomly. Oh, it makes people think you're home.
Right.
Okay. I have an app that does that on my Wink.
Yeah. Who's home? Kevin.
Or on my Philips Hue.
Oh yeah, we left Kevin to take care of the house. That's what they.
So it simulates arguments.
I thought I told you to take out the trash.
It plays the one from last night.
As you point out, as we've talked about, Google is everywhere. Google Assistant is, what is this, a gumball machine that you say, hey, Google to? What is this?
So this is in the Sam's. It's a gumball machine. You tell it like, hey, Google, do this, and it does it. And it's eye candy. And then over at the Las Vegas Convention Center, they have a slide in a big, not a booth, whatever those.
But they had to close it because the rain.
They had to close it.
Yes.
So
it's a water slide.
And there are the people in the Google outfits that we were mocking with the little Where's Waldo hats and the white jumpsuit.
They're everywhere. Good Lord.
Oh, it's kind of, I guess
that's creepy.
It's cute. I mean, What would be creepy is if they had like random facts memorized, and when you said, "Hey Google, tell me this,"
if they were human Google assistants, that would be funny.
that would be awesome. Actually, Google totally could have done that. They could have been an assistant using their voice kit thing, and then when you talk to it,
you put it in their
it could
ear.
answer
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Could you actually get gumballs though?
I don't know if you could. I did not stop to try to get a giant bowling ball size gumball.
Here's that Lenovo Google Assistant speaker we were talking about. But this is cool. This view is good because it shows you how it stands up. It's got a curved back.
And it's bamboo, and it's so pretty.
That's kind of cool.
Bamboo.
You know, people hated how the Echo Show looked.
And there's a million of those. Oh, the other thing on this is it has a camera cover. I think that's really important.
Oh, yeah.
And I found it interesting coming from Google, which is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I generally make fun of camera covers, because paranoid, but in that case, I absolutely agree.
Well, you know that Echo Spot that I showed before I left, the alarm clock with the camera on it. When I got home, it was face down in the bedroom, and so I moved it out of the bedroom because it probably shouldn't have a camera in the bedroom. It's in my closet though. There's not much to see in there. It's usually dark. Here's another Google Assistant speaker from JBL, 8-inch LinkView, nice screen, high-res audio and video calling as well. Does it use Duo when they do these? Use these?
It does.
Okay, so you can call
like,
any phone then. Oh, now Duo makes a little bit more sense because it's the phone. Well, who is going to use it, right? But now it makes sense because if people have a Duo speaker, they can call you on the phone.
Wasn't there a report that Facebook was going to make a video screen calling device?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's that. This is a Delta faucet. You have capacitive touch on your faucet, so this is.
I do, and this one has Wi-Fi and talks to the Echo and dispenses and does all the magic stuff.
Okay. All right. Obviously.
I tried to convince the guys at the booth to retrofit my faucet with the Wi-Fi module.
And finally, a very cute picture of the two of you. The TOEFL and the Higginbotham, the IoT podcast team in action.
The Higgintoffel.
The Higgintoffel.
Yeah.
The viral hit of the week is this Google Arts and Letters app that all the kids are going crazy about, that takes a picture of you. It's been out for months. We've known about this for months, but all of a sudden it was discovered. Thank you, Instagram, for making it a hit.
Didn't they add a new feature? Isn't the matching was a new feature for this app? Because this had always been.
Okay. So what you do, and you've not done it, but I'll just give you an example and maybe a cautionary word of warning. This is what I did. I did this. I can't remember which show that I was doing. So that I'm just warning you. The results are not always flattering. So what happens is it takes a picture of you. And in the app, it's a little hard to find. I'll help you do it in a second. And then it goes through its vast arts and culture collection of artworks and comes up with using face matching technology. What do you think, Jeff? That's a pretty good likeness, you think?
Oh yeah. So let me show you. See, I got.
Did you get one?
See or not? Yeah, I got. Let's see here.
You don't look like
with a beard.
That looks like Abe Lincoln's secretary.
And then I got another guy with a beard.
You know,
of course, Google can't see my face because I'm actually a ghost.
I feel like
there's a side view of this guy.
In a way, this one of me was good because it reminded me that even though I don't feel like an old man, apparently I am.
I did it earlier.
I was just thinking that this guy is probably my age, right? He's Charles Wellington First. Oh no, I'm sorry. Sir George Grove, the painter, is Charles Wellington First from the Royal College of Art and Music, and he looks a little like Ben Franklin.
He does.
And mine just identified my guy as older gentleman.
Older gentleman.
Pissed me off.
So, are you ready, Stacey?
So I can't because Texas is the other state. That is so says the chat room. So we can try it. But
this is in Illinois and Texas. Illinois has a state law. What that says you can't do biometric facial recognition?
Can't you get permission for it?
I mean, it seems odd because obviously a lot of what, like if you have an iPhone 10, you're doing it. If you post a picture to Facebook, you're doing it. Is Facebook prohibited in Texas?
Well, no, but so this is a privacy aspect. So the iPhone does not share your face with Google's or Apple's AI efforts. So that's what this is about. Facebook has been sued by Illinois' Attorney General.
Okay, because it would be. This is exactly what Facebook does.
So yeah. Oh, they've sued a lot of people.
So
Illinois has argued with Snapchat, Shutterfly, United Airlines.
This seems like a strange law.
Maybe it wasn't written correctly, but
I mean, if you choose to do it,
you should be able to do it.
Yeah, but Google isn't exactly upfront about, like, when your friend's like, check out this cool app. It's not like Google's saying
the app could stop and say, you know what you're doing now.
Well, how stupid do you have to be not to understand it's uploading your picture to Google so it can search? I mean, it's kind of...
Okay, that is a very high bar. There's a lot of people who don't understand what's happening.
Okay, all right.
Just saying.
So there is an article in the Houston Chronicle, if you're really interested, by a good friend named Dwight Silverman, how to get around the block in Texas and Illinois. Just turn off location, basically. iOS settings, privacy location services, and just turn it off. Or you could use a VPN. It's not.
I was going to say I could do a VPN, but I'm not really that excited about the
base. Not that worthwhile.
Next time I'm in California, I'll see.
To prove that it's possible, Dwight did it. He's in Houston. And he looks exactly like in a portrait of Baron Samuel von somebody or other. You know what? I'll be honest with you. None of them are that spot on.
No, there was this thing of people standing in museums.
You're doing that just to get me annoyed.
What you do?
Especially since I can't do it and get some sort of
yeah. You're safe. You're safe. Huh. I'm sorry, Jeff. Stacey and I were bickering. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Mom, Dad. There was a meme of people standing next to paintings that looks like them. That was actually good. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, but you'd have to, that's a lot of work. You have to go find.
There we go, yeah.
You have to leave your
images
house.
for people standing next to paintings. Go ahead and look. I searched for people standing next to paintings that look like them.
Can't you just understand what I want, Google? Oh, that would probably be illegal in Illinois, and
it would be a violation.
It would be a violation.
There's a few of them here. There's like one or two of them here. There's a guy with the guy on the top there.
That's a pretty good one, except for that's
pretty good one.
Batik shirt. That's a good one.
That's pretty good. The balding guy is good. That's obvious.
Those are actually the people in American Gothic, just so you know.
But Ken Tucker, who used to be the TV critic at Entertainment Weekly, it gave him American Gothic, and he does look like it. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Net neutrality. So I'll give you what maybe it's the good news. State of Montana has voted that if you want to do business in Montana as an internet service provider, you have to be net neutral. That's a good thing, right? What could possibly?
Yeah, no, that's definitely good news.
If all the states do this.
Yeah. If California did it, it would be a big thing. Montana's, it's populous, but it's not like
what do you have against Montana?
I'm just saying that Montana, like a rural area, most of them don't want to serve rural areas anyway, because it's highly expensive. If they can get out of that, they would. So imagine if you're like, you have to be net neutral. And they're like, oh, okay, never mind. Bye-bye.
You know, it's cool. It was an executive order. The governor, Stephen Bullock, just declared Monday that any internet service provider with a state government contract, cannot block or charge more for faster delivery of websites to any customer in the state. However, of course, remember the FCC said we don't want the states to make their own rules.
Right.
So there could be legal challenges.
But I admire them for doing that. I think it's still worthwhile that they're even trying to do it. That's better than lots of places.
And then this one, Randall Stevenson, of the CEO of AT&T, said AT&T is committed. They bought big full-page ads in a bunch of newspapers saying they want net neutrality. AT&T is committed to an open internet. We don't block websites. We don't censor online content. We don't throttle, discriminate, or degrade network performance based on content
But they
pyramid.
want zero rating.
Well, and they also want Facebook and Google, their arch nemesises, I don't know, to be nemesis, to be subject to regulations as well.
Right.
They are trying to. This is their.
Okay, I'd go for that.
Gambit. It's a
wrong.
gambit.
It's a different. They need to be regulated in a different way. I'm not going to argue that we should not do some form of regulation over like maybe data monopolies. I actually had a guest on my podcast talking about what an anti-competitive regime for the 21st century looks like, and it was really interesting.
I have to admit, when you read that it's AT&T, you scratch your head and go, okay, what are they up to? Because they have never been really fans.
Well, they want their definition of net neutrality. So their definition allows them to do things like zero rating, which I think should not be allowed.
They want Congress to pass, and which, by the way, I think the congressional solution is the right solution if you can get congressional agreement. And we're one vote away in the Senate, but that doesn't mean it's even close to passing in that House. Congressional action, writes AT&T, is needed to establish an Internet Bill of Rights that applies to all Internet companies, by which they mean us and the information services, and guarantees neutrality, transparency, openness, non-discrimination, and privacy protection for all Internet users. You know what? Tell me why that's a bad thing, Stacey.
So my issue is regulating ISPs. Net neutrality is a solution for
providers.
A lack of competition. It's a lack of competition at an infrastructure level.
Okay.
Now, it is the right solution. So common carriage type of rules are the right solution when you're dealing with physical infrastructure in a non-competitive market. Now, where it gets interesting is when AT&T is like, let's do the same rules. We'll follow the same rules that Google and Facebook do. I don't think that's right because they're in a very different competitive environment. Their competitive environment isn't necessarily based on physical infrastructure, although their data centers are a huge element of that, right? But their competitive advantage is based on data. So then they should be regulated based on that competitive advantage. So what you really need is two separate laws. And you can talk about, yes, you have Google is still, I use DuckDuckGo, I don't have to use Google, you can use Bing, blah, blah, blah. But, there is a data monopoly developing among the big companies. And we do need to look at that and figure out a solution for making sure that having all of this information doesn't create a barrier to other companies being able to come in and innovate. And that's fine. I think that makes sense. I just don't putting the same rules around them in AT&T don't make sense at all because AT&T is providing physical infrastructure.
Physical access, exactly.
How about this Burger King?
Oh, yeah, we forgot to talk about that. Yes.
I am really jumping all over today. I apologize. Burger King deviously explains net neutrality by making people wait longer for Whoppers. That is pretty awesome. Is this real?
Yeah.
They really did this to people and recorded it. And apparently some people.
Whopper neutrality. Net neutrality was just repealed.
It was?
And it's very confusing.
With net neutrality, some people, for what it's worth, just...
How come no one ever stops me on the streets and asks to define these terms?
I don't know exactly what it is.
Because if they did and they recorded it, they wouldn't use it.
They wouldn't use it, exactly.
Right.
It's that same thing with, they do that on the late shows, right? They ask people, who's the president of the United States? Eugene Debs? And then, actually, that's exactly what you don't get.
Smart ones they throw out.
Like a socialist revolutionary for the 30s.
That's exactly what you don't get. King Kong? And everybody laughs at how stupid people are. But that's because they asked 20 people to get the really dumb. I presume. Maybe not.
Okay, sorry. Back to the ad.
Whopper neutrality.
Number one. Hey, how you doing?
Do you know what number 98, what's going on with it?
Number 98, you got the Whopper?
Yeah.
So you got the slow access Whopper pass?
Slow access Whopper pass.
It's on the menu right there with the fast, medium, and slow.
Slow MBPS, fast MBPS,
or hyper-fast MBPS. MBPS,
Burgers
of course,
per
standing
second,
for
yes.
making burgers per second.
So if we want a Whopper now, we have to pay $26.
Well, that's how you get it fast. That's the highest priority.
This is like a lane system?
Maybe like 15, fast lane, slow lane. So like maybe like 15, 20 minutes.
He gets it. That guy gets it.
Burger King Corporation uses
What
it
are you
to sell
talking
more
about?
and make more money selling like chicken sandwiches and chicken fries. So now they're slowing down the access to the Whopper. Were you given an option of a chicken sandwich or?
Yeah, I don't want a chicken sandwich, Robert. I want a Whopper.
Do you have any Whoppers ready?
I admire Burger King for being willing to annoy the hell out of it.
I wonder if anybody got
The
punched.
sandwich is ready. I'm just not allowed to actually get it to you.
Why? You can't give me the sandwich. It's ready, but you can't give it to me?
Whopper neutrality was repealed. They voted on it.
What?
Whopper neutrality.
Unfortunately, I have no other choice.
God, this is the worst thing I've ever heard of.
See, like you got the fast.
Whopper neutrality is repealed.
Are you kidding me? You paid $26 for a Whopper?
That is my favorite part.
Are you kidding me?
Some guy actually paid 20.
Come on, guys. Like, I want a burger, man.
If you'd like, if
This
you
is a bad dream right now. I just want a burger, brother. A burger.
you want
I
to
feel like
pay.
I'm going. I feel like I'm going to say this is crazy.
Here's what I'll do. You have the bag, and I can put it in the bag in 42 seconds. Hold it. 10 seconds. We don't make the rules.
No.
I presume these guys are
ridiculous
not
rules?
actual employees.
Fortunately, we have to.
They have to be actors,
No,
right?
they
I
got
feel
it.
like I was being taken advantage of in a sense. Just as a customer
took
coming
it.
in to get their food, it felt like a power move.
They already changed the policies overnight or whatever.
I didn't think that
This is brilliant.
ordering a Whopper would
Thank
really
you, Burger King.
open my eyes up to net neutrality.
The Whopper actually taught me about net neutrality. It's stupid, but true.
Stupid but true.
That is,
That's my favorite line.
I am
Stupid
gonna
but true.
cry. That's awesome. Why did the king do that? That's brilliant.
I don't like the
So-
king.
I know the king is
I'm just gonna
creepy as
say.
hell. Can I just
King
say?
is creepy as heck. But that was a
Yeah.
good video.
I want to thank Burger King because they did in fact save net neutrality, didn't they? Oh no, they didn't. We're going to keep working on that. 2019 would be the year. I do want to. I'm always a little nervous when I use the term naked mole rat in front of Stacey Higginbotham. I feel like she cringes, but I couldn't help but report this story. Google was using naked mole rats to extend human life. That's important. Watch.
Naked mole rats.
Naked mole rat
Naked mole
time.
rats.
What's the deal with naked mole rats?
Naked roll mats and Google could
Not
make your
naked
life.
roll mats. That's something else.
Mole rats. Naked mole rats.
Naked mole
and
rats.
Google can make your life longer.
So we know that naked mole rats are a wonderful thing to study. The heterocephalus globber, as it's known, or the sand puppy.
Ooh, very good. Wheel and that in the same 5 minutes.
It is
Woof.
a naked, sightless, disgusting animal. But for some reason, scientists keep wanting to study it. Is it their
So
social organization?
They live a long
In this
time.
case,
They don't feel pain.
well, they don't actually live a long time because there's not eternal life, but they have like a little cap that protects their DNA.
Oh, a DNA cap.
A DNA condom.
So
Protecting.
they also, as you said, lack pain. They don't have pain. They have very low metabolic and respiratory rates. You too could live like a naked mole rat. I'm not sure if I'd want to live longer. Their legs are thin and short. They can move backward as fast as they can move forward. Their large protruding teeth are used to dig, and their lips are sealed just behind the teeth so that their mouth doesn't get full of dirt.
How do they eat?
I don't know. I don't care. I really don't. So they can actually live in air that is only 5% oxygen for 5 hours.
And they can hold their breath for
Mars.
18 minutes.
Naked roll mats. Naked mole rats on Mars. Naked Mars rats.
They have a high resistance to tumors.
Basically, it's the cap on their telomeres that we're excited about.
And we like their, because we know that longer telomeres are good for longevity. Now, let's not get too excited. They live as long as 32 years.
Dude, there's a queen mole rat. And they're guarded by worker rats. I love this.
This you would love. I'll be your worker rat.
I want to be the queen of the mole rats.
Stacey, you are our queen mole rat.
Your queen mole rat. It is what they call.
All hail Stacey, the queen mole rat.
It's the first mammal. See, the ants and bees and stuff exhibit this eusociality, but it's the first mammal that they've ever found that does that. The queen and 1 to 3 males reproduce while the rest of the members of the colony just work. No sex for you. Work.
Dig.
Workers are sterile. What is it?
Right,
Telomeres?
right.
They got a telomere cap? That's good.
They've got a cap. So basically, the idea is that protects their DNA from mutations and all kinds of other fun stuff. So they're basically, Verily's like, hey, look, these animals, which are creepy weird, have this cool feature. So we're going to research that further. And that's the story.
And the fact that Google does it just makes it more fun.
We learned a lot about naked mole rats, and I feel that is always a worthwhile endeavor.
I hope you're enjoying our best of 2018. We'll get right back to the clips in just a second, but I do want to ask a little favor of you, a gift, if you will, that you can give us this holiday season. We do this every once in a while, a survey. We like to get to know our audience a little bit better. This year, our survey focuses on how and if, I guess, you use collaborative software at work. I know a lot of you do. In fact, most workplaces these days use collaborative software. So we just want some information. It'll help us program shows for you and help us with advertisers so we can explain what our audience is interested in. It shouldn't take more than 6 minutes. And I know this is important to you. It's certainly important to me. No, we will not collect any personal data. We do appreciate your doing it, though. twit.to/survey12 is the address. twit.to/survey12. You can do it while you're listening. It won't take you very long. And I do appreciate your doing it. Now, on we go with the show. Oh, no. John Perry Barlow has passed.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that makes me so
He'd been
sad.
ill for quite some time. John Perry Barlow, he was a Grateful Dead lyricist.
One of the great gentlemen of the open internet age.
A classy guy, a Montana rancher who also helped founded the Electronic Frontier Foundation and did so much to promote the free internet.
God, he wasn't that old.
No, he'd been ill. In fact, we went to a really wonderful benefit for him in San Rafael last year with Bobby Weir of the Grateful Dead and Ramblin' Jack Elliott, Sean Lennon. It was a really amazing tribute to him to raise money for his hospital bills because he had been.
What was the beginning of his ailment? Do you know? It just piled on. I know, but I don't know where it started.
It says in his obituary he'd been dealing with one health issue after another in recent years. Died in his sleep. Yeah. He was only 70. You're right. He wasn't very old. He led a very energetic life, and maybe he just burnt the candle faster than some of us. He was a fellow student at the Fountain Valley School in Colorado Springs with Bob Weir, so they went to high school together and were, of course, friends for years. He wrote many of the Dead's iconic songs with Weir, including Cassidy, Throwing Stones, Hell in a Bucket, Lost Sailor, Saint of Circumstance, Black-Throated Wind, The Music Never Stopped, Looks Like Rain, Mexicali Blues. It was really fun to hear Bob Weir and his pickup band play many of those songs for John at the tribute there. And John joined it via Skype. He joined the Well in 1986. I was there too. Then 4 years later, in 1990, founded the Electronic Frontier Foundation. He and Mitch Kapor and John Gilmore, who was one of the cypher punks, and EFF, of course, remains to this day a great fighter for the freedom of the internet. And many of us remember John Perry Barlow's. In fact, I think you asked me to get him to read it again when I interviewed him on Triangulation.
I did.
What was the We the People of the Internet?
Yes. Did he do it? He didn't do it, right?
He kind of, I don't know. We'll have to go back and find it. He
finally did redo it.
He kind of poo-pooed it. He was embarrassed.
Yeah, but then I think he recognized how much it meant to people.
It was
it's a wonderful document. It is a wonderful document.
Kind of the first kind of statement that something was happening. That it was a nation of its own, sort of, right? The Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace.
Written in Davos.
Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants
give it some more. Give it some more, Leo.
Give it some more?
Do it for John. Do it for John.
Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel. I come from cyberspace, the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to leave us alone. You are not welcome among us. You have no sovereignty where we gather. We have no elected government, nor are we likely to have one. So I address you with no greater authority than that with which liberty itself always speaks. It's just beautiful. I can't do it justice because it's so great. And maybe I could find him reading it.
He did finally read it about 2 years ago, I think.
Anyway, I was privileged to have met him many times and talked to him and interview him.
Here. I went to like early blogger cons with him. He was just a true wonderful gentleman.
Yeah, I remember
that's a huge loss.
Going to his home for a meeting of the EFF and others, and he was graceful, brilliant, funny. And a gentleman to the very end. And we're really going to miss John Perry Barlow.
I think it might be the last post that he put up on Facebook. It's just a beautiful little picture. I presume it's a grandson, getting a bris, I think. And he loved his daughters dearly. And
a Declaration of the Independence of Cyberspace, as written by John Perry Barlow at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, on February 8th, 1996. Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel, I come from cyberspace, the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to leave us alone. You are not welcome among us. You have no sovereignty where we gather. We have no elected government, nor are we likely to have one, so I address you with no greater authority than that with which liberty itself always speaks. I declare the global social space we are building to be naturally independent of the tyrannies you seek to impose on us. You have no moral right to rule us, nor do you possess any methods of enforcement we have true reason to fear. Governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. You have neither solicited nor received ours. We did not invite you. You do not know us, nor do you know our world. Cyberspace does not lie within your borders. Do not think that you can build it as though it were a public works project. You cannot. It is an act of nature, and it grows itself through our collective actions. You have not engaged in our great and gathering conversation, nor did you create the wealth of our marketplaces. You do not know our culture, our ethics, or the unwritten codes that already provide our society more order than could be obtained by any of your external impositions. You claim there are problems among us that you need to solve. You use this claim as an excuse to invade our precincts. Many of these problems don't exist. Where there are real conflicts, where there are wrongs, we will identify them and address them by our means. We are forming our own social contract. This governance will arise according to the conditions of our world, not yours. Our world is different. Cyberspace consists of transactions, relationships, and thought itself, arrayed like a standing wave in the web of our communications. Ours is a world that is both everywhere and nowhere, but it is not where bodies live. We are creating a world that all may enter without privilege or prejudice accorded by race, economic power, military force, or station of birth. We are creating a world where anyone, anywhere, may express his or her beliefs, no matter how singular, without fear of being coerced into silence or conformity. Your legal concepts of property, expression, identity, movement, and context do not apply to us. They are based on matter. There is no matter here. Our identities have no bodies, so unlike you, we cannot obtain order by physical coercion. We believe that from ethics, enlightened self-interest, and the common weal, our governance will emerge. Our identities may be distributed across many of your jurisdictions. The only law that all of our constituent cultures would generally recognize is the Golden Rule. We hope we will be able to build our particular solutions on that basis. But we cannot accept the solutions you are attempting to impose. In the United States, you have today created a law, the Telecommunications Reform Act, which repudiates your own Constitution and insults the dreams of Jefferson, Washington, Mill, Madison, de Tocqueville, and Brandeis. These dreams must now be born anew in us. You are terrified of your own children, since they are natives in a world where you will always be immigrants. Because you fear them, you entrust your bureaucracies with the parental responsibilities you are too cowardly to confront yourselves. In our world, all the sentiments and expressions of humanity, from the debasing to the angelic, are parts of a seamless whole, the global conversation of bits. We cannot separate the air that chokes from the air upon which wings beat. In China, Germany, France, Russia, Singapore, Italy, and the United States, you are trying to ward off the virus of liberty by erecting guard posts at the frontiers of cyberspace. These may keep out the contagion for a small time, but they will not work in a world that will soon be blanketed with bit-bearing media. Your increasingly obsolete information industries would perpetuate themselves by proposing laws in America and elsewhere that claim to own speech itself throughout the world. These laws would declare ideas to be another industrial product no more noble than pig iron. In our world, whatever the human mind may create can be reproduced and distributed infinitely at no cost. The global conveyance of thought no longer requires your factories to accomplish. These increasingly hostile and colonial measures place us in the same position as those previous lovers of freedom and self-determination who had to reject the authorities of distant, uninformed powers. We must declare our virtual selves immune to your sovereignty, even as we continue to consent to your rule over our bodies. We will spread ourselves across the planet so that no one can arrest our thoughts. We will create a civilization of the mind in cyberspace. May it be more humane and fair than the world your governments have made before. Davos, Switzerland, February 8th, 1996, and read in New York City, July 30th, 2013.
So he wrote that 22 years ago, John Perry Barlow.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
that was lovely.
Well worth playing it. John Perry Barlow
I'm
passed
really
away
touched
today at the age of 70. And I'm glad he recorded that. And thanks to Idealog and the Q department for Department of Records for making that recording and for posting it on Vimeo. You can find it on Vimeo if you search for it. So there was a very good New York Times, the Daily yesterday.
It was actually an Observer Guardian that they gave to the New York Times. Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, it was in their podcast. So
sorry.
It was the Daily. But it may have, but yes, Observer had the story, of course.
Yeah.
Broke the story, and it was a whistleblower, Christopher Wiley from Cambridge Analytica, who went to the Observer. But I thought a very good synopsis of this, which I will kind of attempt to rehash, because I think before we even talk about Facebook's culpability in all this, it'd be good to understand what exactly.
Yeah, a lot of the coverage has been way wrong, and it doesn't make a lot of sense for Facebook to parse breach versus not breach, but it does make sense for us to get the facts right.
Yeah. So this began, Christopher Wiley, we'll start with him. He was the whistleblower. He was a high school dropout from BC, from Canada, who became fascinated with data, big data, when he was volunteering at the Obama campaign in 2012, and was very intrigued by what data would tell them about reaching out to voters, you know, how to advertise to them, who to advertise to, and all of that stuff. He was following an interesting study, and I'm trying to remember if that was from Cambridge or somewhere else. I think not. Where some researchers found out that if we get 50 of your likes, 50 of your likes, we can tell what race you are. We can tell what education you have. We can tell a lot about you. Give us 500 of your likes, we'll know more about you than your spouse does. And they were able to do that by correlating it was a kind of imperfect system, correlating, likes were scrapable. I think they still are scrapable from Facebook. You don't have to have permission to see what people like. It's in there. It's right there on their profile. So they would basically get as much of that like data as they could and see if they could find correlations. And this is very different from you or me. I mean, one of the things they found out, for instance, if you like Hello Kitty, what did they? I don't even remember, but it said something about you. It was that you were a nice person, but not a rule follower, something like that. So you could deduce all of these things, and they did this again by taking great lumps of data and making correlations, and then projecting out. Wiley was fascinated by this, thought this was very interesting, started doing some of this himself for the Obama campaign, and then went to work for a British company, and a group in the British company run by this, was an Andrew Nix, the CEO, now ousted, of Cambridge Analytica. They realized that they could do a lot more if they could get more access to the Facebook data. And this is where the story became very interesting. Nix ran into somebody from I think it was the Cruz campaign, the Ted Cruz campaign, and decided that it would be great to get into the American market, and decided that if they could do a little bit better targeting, that they might be able to do this kind of targeting they were already doing in the UK, in the American market. Got the attention of billionaire Robert Mercer, who funded it, Steve Bannon, who became the chairman, and created Cambridge Analytica. And Cambridge Analytica this is the thing that they did that really has gotten them in trouble with Facebook, is they've found a researcher at Cambridge who created a psychological quiz. And they put out on Facebook an offer. If you take this quiz, it was a real quiz. It was not a Game of Thrones which vegetable are you kind of a quiz. It was a real psychological profile, standard kind of profile. If you take this quiz, you'll have to download an app and take it offline, off Facebook. We'll give you some money. We'll pay you. And they got a significant number of people to do that through Facebook. So they had their Facebook login and they had the quiz. They were able to use the data they gained from that quiz to, and it was about a quarter, I think 275,000 people.
270,000.
Yeah, to create this, what you really need in this, a machine learning database, in effect, making correlations between what the Facebook profile told you about this person and what their psychological profile was. And they also got something which Facebook shut down a few years ago, which is this friends of friends stuff, which I always thought was reprehensible. If you take a quiz or give somebody access to your Facebook account, they not only get your information, your likes, but they get all your friends' information, all your friends' likes. Basically,
by the way, Leo, just to clarify here, that's your public information. They don't get anything that's behind.
No.
Private.
No, not credit card numbers. It's stuff you've posted. They get access to their accounts, though. They don't have to be. You didn't
have to have your own relationship at that time. You didn't have to have your own business relationship or relationship.
And that was how people thought Facebook worked. I mean, I think everybody thought Facebook worked is people can see my page if I allow them to. If they friend me and I friend them back, then we are sharing data. But as it turns out, if they friend you and you friend them back, then anybody who friends them can see your data, which was
at the time.
That was something Facebook stopped a couple of years ago.
And by the way, just real quickly, I worked with lots of media companies that said goody goody and did that like crazy. Yep. Obama's campaign had a game that had 1 million users and did the same thing. Yep. And so it was very common at the time, but it was all part of that kerfuffle that we talked about in the show at the time about people not understanding the circles of privacy.
We have been talking about this for years.
Yes.
And trying to raise people's awareness of this for years. So Cambridge Analytica got all of this data for, it turns out once they got the 270,000 people to take the quiz, they got their friends of friends, and that ended up being a 50 million person database. None
of which should have been handed over to Cambridge Analytica.
Well,
but
it's unclear. No. It isn't that they shouldn't have access to it. They got legitimate access to it, saying it was a research.
They kept it for too long.
The rules said you couldn't pass that on to a commercial entity.
Right.
And it was passed on, and they were told
Cambridge
to erase
researcher who had ties to Russia, by the way, was actually passing it along to a commercial entity illegally. Right. Facebook
against Facebook's
their
rules.
Not illegally, but against their rules.
Yeah.
And then Cambridge Analytica used it apparently quite effectively to target advertising. And Wiley was saying,
so they say, which is a whole other.
There's been a lot of question about
as to what
how, and we've seen now the videos of its CEO admitting to all sorts of chicanery, but again, they were boasting about stuff they probably didn't do in the past. So there's no way of knowing if they actually do hire prostitutes to suborn candidates and things like that.
And it's also, there's debate among researchers. I was at a Annenberg event at Penn some weeks ago, where most of the researchers in the room said that they did not believe for a second that Cambridge Analytica had any near the skills that they say they have. Again, that's irrelevant to this discussion insofar as things that shouldn't have happened, but how much impact it then had is something that could be up for debate.
A lot of people say, hey, Obama did the same thing. The only reason this is a hot button is because Trump used it to win and not a Democrat. Fair enough. That's fair criticism. Facebook said we understand it's a breach of trust, and we expected. This is Mark Zuckerberg's comment earlier. He said we have a responsibility to protect your data. If we can't, we don't deserve to serve you. I've been working to understand exactly what happened and how to make sure this doesn't happen again. He's going to be on CNN at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. On the Anderson Cooper 360
Let's not stay
show.
on until then.
No, we'll be off by then. So Cambridge Analytica, which was first of all was not supposed to have that data, and then told Facebook they had deleted that data, apparently did not delete the data. And until Wiley stepped forward, we didn't really understand exactly what had happened. But the whistleblower, who was one of the principals, explained the whole process. So a number of people, including Brian Acton, who was one of the founders of WhatsApp and was paid $16 billion along with Jan Koum, his co-founder, for the app by Facebook, said it's time, hashtag delete Facebook. A lot of people, that hashtag's gotten very popular. I deleted Facebook not so much because everybody knows all that information. I just don't like. It really brought home to me, something I've been thinking for a long time, which is I don't trust them. Now, we should mention, and I'm sure Jeff will mention, that you actually work with Facebook and the foundation that they do.
Just to get the full clear disclosure, I raised $14 million from Facebook, Craig Newmark, the Ford Foundation, AppNexus, and others to start the News Integrity Initiative. We run it independently of Facebook, and I am not paid by and never have been paid by any of the platforms. Yeah. End disclosure.
Yeah. The parent company of Cambridge Analytica has been banned, as has Cambridge Analytica, for all of this. So there was clearly a violation of Facebook's terms, and I think Mark Zuckerberg's taking some culpability. He's taking some responsibility for this, saying, "Yeah, we didn't do a great job." Although there's also the sense that Facebook is as much a victim as the end users. That Cambridge Analytica lied to them. You disagree?
That's like saying Equifax is as much a victim as the end users. I mean, this is a company that's dedicated to collecting data about people.
Well, Facebook's paying the price. They lost $50 billion in stock market value over the last few years.
Are they really paying the price? I mean,
I don't know. It depends. I mean, this is a really interesting nexus. It's kind of a turning point. It could be the end of Facebook in some ways, right? What do you think?
I'm not a huge Facebook user. I've never been, but I wouldn't be. We need to have something like Facebook.
Do we?
Do we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think we do.
Why?
I think
What
that
does
we
Facebook
should
do?
have.
Connects people.
Yeah, but I mean, I
connect
have a
people.
phone and an email and mail. I could connect to.
It connects people superficial. It makes superficial connections feel more accessible. So it helps you scale your connections, I would say. So
That
I'm
may
not
be
gonna
the fault.
call-
That may be one of its flaws, though. By the way, because they're not genuine connections.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think they can be genuine connections. I mean, if you use it well, you can create communities. You just have to you have to curate them in a way that a lot of people aren't very disciplined at. I mean, think about how sophisticated people are and different types of people. I don't have a lot of close friends, for example. I'm not a huge Facebook user, not because of that, but I think those things are correlated. And there are lots of people who seek others' approval, and those people tend to be on Facebook and establish, I would say to them, meaningful relationships. And I'm not going to denigrate that. And I think it's something a lot of people need and want.
Oracle, I remember, was suing Google over Java in the Android devices, and they lost in court. Google has now, Oracle has now revived it, and Google may owe them $8.8 billion. The federal court, U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, that's the patent court out of D.C., right? That's the one that really is kind of out of sync, I think, with the rest of them. Ruled on Tuesday that Google's use of Java shortcuts. This was not, by the way, that they stole Java.
Right.
This is the API. So shortcuts isn't quite right. It's
what's the point of an API?
You can't copyright an API.
Yeah.
But this stupid court.
They're one ignorant judge away from a really disastrous ruling.
That's a good way of putting it. We're all one ignorant judge away from disaster.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, APIs are the bedrock of the modern tech economy. So having to this is really distressing.
The dispute, according to Bloomberg Technology, which could have far-reaching implications for the entire software industry, has divided Silicon Valley for years between those who develop the code that makes software steps function. I don't know. I think that's a typo. And those who develop software programs develop the code that makes software steps function. I think this is a mangled
Oracle's trying
sentence.
to milk it because, I mean, as Steve was saying on Security Now this week, the number one scenario for developers is their companies force them to use Java, but they'd really love to use Python. That
was from Stack Overflow. There was they actually had that as one of the things that they deduced from Stack Overflow usage. I think that's true, but this isn't even
Exactly.
They use Java.
Exactly.
This is that they use the Java API.
Well, but it makes you kind of not trust Oracle as much as a developer. I mean, this
Bloomberg story, by the way, is so messed up. I'm sorry I even pulled it up. By using the APIs, programmers don't have to write new code from scratch. No. This guy, whoever wrote this, doesn't understand what an API is. That's a library. Sorry, Susan. I'm going to have to explain to Susan Decker what an API is. I'll explain to you all what an API is.
What's an API, Leo?
It stands for Application Programming Interface, and it's what allows you to, for instance, I'll give you a good example. Twit has an API. We decided when we redesigned our website that we would do it in two parts, that we would use Drupal, which is a very good content management system, but we'd use something called headless Drupal. You never see the Drupal. Drupal sits in the background, and we use it for all of our workflow when we create a new show and so forth. And you can get keys to our API and then interact with the database through the API. It's something we want you to do because then you can write an application. Our application was our website. The website talks to the database through our Twit API and generates a beautiful website. There's also an app, MyTwit. There's several apps now, but MyTwit's one of them that actually pulls from the API. And we prefer that because that means when you have an app that's a Twit app, even though we didn't develop it, you will always have the latest information because you query our database. That's a good thing. You publish the API. It's published. We publish it on Apiary, which is a site for APIs, so that people can use it. And the only reason we make you get a key is so that everybody doesn't scrape all our data and kill our bandwidth. But an API is supposed to be open. Mm-hmm. That's how we communicate. So copywriting an API, meaning you can't duplicate an API, is going to have a horrific chilling effect on software.
Right, it's as if Walmart sued Amazon because Jeff Bezos walked through the front door of a Walmart. That's essentially what this is.
Okay. So I think you guys are being maybe a bit naive or maybe a bit tech focused here. And I'm not I totally agree with all of this. However, as I said before, APIs are becoming the bedrock of kind of the economy, especially with IoT, because we're having so many devices and services talk to so many other services. So what's happening is instead of just a tech kind of layer to this, we're getting a political and business goals layer to this. And so Oracle's case isn't a technical case, it's a business case. And they're saying, hey, we don't want you to use our APIs to build a competing platform. There are a lot of people who keep their APIs private just for that reason. And so I would say that we do need some sort of legal framework around APIs, but we also need to understand that they are no longer just a bridge between services. And I think your definition is wonderful, Leo, but I just explain it to normal people like, hey, it's a bridge that lets my software talk to your software and speak kind of the same language.
But my question is, why can't Oracle use technical means to prevent Google from accessing the API?
Well, it's not that they were it's that they duplicated the API.
Right.
So if Google wants to use Java, Oracle says that's fine, but you need to license it because you're making a commercial product and you made $42 billion, according to them, $42 billion off of Android. So Google says, oh, well, then we won't use Oracle Java. We'll write our own code, but in order for it to work with Java programs, it has to support the Java API. So this is kind of like what Microsoft does with the Linux for Windows system, or Wine does. Wine does this to Microsoft to allow. So they duplicate the API so that a program that's sitting on an Android machine doesn't know that it's not talking to Java. It could be talking to Dalvik, which is some other Java compatible. And I guess you could make the case if you're Oracle, well, they should use Java and they should license Java. But there's a long-standing tradition of companies duplicating APIs. The API by itself contains no knowledge. It's not the program.
It's like how to connect.
It's how you talk to me. It's as if you can't copyright English.
So this will be like the Carter phone decision for the API era. Think about it that way, because they're trying to govern how someone talks to their software. And they're saying they have a business case for wanting this to be. And technologists historically, and rightly so, are like, hey, we want this to be as open and be as generous so we can all have things work together and talk to each other and we don't have to make our lives miserable.
This has been going on for 6 years. Remember Judge Alsop, who taught himself Java? He ruled in 2012 that APIs are not copyrightable. And I think that's the correct ruling, because to do so would basically tie up. I mean, I do understand Oracle's point of view, but we need to have open APIs. We just really do. And to say you can copyright it is not. You can block somebody from using Java, but you can't block how you interact with a Java-like program. I think that's inappropriate.
Yeah, it just seems like Oracle's the wrong kind of company to be in control of all that.
Well, that's another issue. But this is a lot of this has to do with personalities, right? Google's got a lot of money. They made the circuit court even said Google made $42 billion on Android. They should give some of it to Oracle.
No. Larry Ellison already owns a Hawaiian island. He doesn't need...
Yeah, Larry's just fine. If you want, I'm going to pitch my stuff. I wrote a story on this actually 2 weeks ago, not on the lawsuit, but on the role of APIs and how they're expanding from pure tech to a business tool. So if you're excited about APIs, this is the story for you.
Maybe that's it. So but this is a weird case, by the way, because it changed over time because of various rulings and Oracle trying to find ways to keep it alive. So after Alsop turned it down in 2012, it went back federal circuit in 2014, reversed Alsop. Alsop found that Java APIs are copyrightable, but gave Google an out saying, this is EFF, a little more accurate, giving the possibility that Google could have a fair use defense, right? You have a fair use of a copyrighted thing. Now, that's frankly what all of the subsequent court decisions have been on. Not whether you could copyright an API. That actually was considered settled. What isn't settled is there a fair use defense against reusing the API? Google asked the Supreme Court to review it. The Supreme Court said no. The case went to district court for the fair use defense, and in 2016, a jury unanimously agreed that Google's use of Java was fair use, of the APIs was fair use. Oracle appealed again, and they appealed this time with that Washington, D.C. Federal Circuit Court, which has historically been problematic for tech companies. They've really upheld strong intellectual property rights. And this is what just happened, is they said, no, you have no fair use defense because you made $42 billion on the API. And, you know, on that very narrow interpretation, I think that's probably the case. How can you say it's fair use if you used it commercially and you made $42 billion?
Well, they didn't make that much money on the API. How much money did they make on the API itself? That would have to be calculated.
Yeah. On the other hand, would Android have been as successful if you couldn't use Java to develop for it and use the Java? You could actually have your own API. That wouldn't have been a hard thing to do. Google, in hindsight, probably should have done that.
Oh, I'm sure they wish they did now.
Yeah. $8.8 billion is a significant portion of their overall profits.
That's another island.
Here, let me play. This is the thing that, I don't know if this is creepy, but this is very impressive. So this is now another technology that Google announced that is going to allow the assistant to actually place calls on your behalf. Watch this. This one is wild.
Is to help you get things done. It turns out a big part of getting things done is making a phone call. You may want to get an oil change schedule, maybe call a plumber in the middle of the week, or even schedule a haircut appointment. You know, we are working hard to help users through those moments. We want to connect users to businesses in a good way. Businesses actually rely a lot on this, but even in the US, 60% of small businesses don't have an online booking system set up. We think AI can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
Now, this is wild. You'll hear, by the way, this sounds like a real assistant. They intentionally have her sticking in ums and pauses. But the thing that's most impressive to me is not that, but how she responds to a real human. And this is like the self-driving car problem. And sometimes humans steer you wrong or say, I mean, and it seemed to do, and of course these are canned demos, but it seemed to do a very good job of handling real-world situations. Listen to this. This is the assistant.
So how can I help you?
That's a real salon.
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
That's the assistant. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. That's a computer.
Sure, give me 1 second.
This is a human.
And she's up talking too.
She is. She's up talking.
Sure, what time are you looking
She
for?
said,
At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Now, how is the assistant going to deal with that one, right?
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect.
The first name is
I will
Lisa.
see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
One of the things that scares me about that is that it's clear they're trying to make it fool the receptionist.
Well,
did you hear?
You can turn around the robocall now.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine this technology in the wrong hands is terrifying.
I get those all the time, don't you? I mean, I get those where they're trying to fake that they're human.
Yeah.
And you ask them, are you a robot? And they have some canned answer, and they're not. Sorry. Go ahead, Stacey.
No, I was very excited from a business perspective. Google's talking about using this for calling restaurants to see if they're open for holiday hours, for example. And that, if you can imagine the automation of data collection at that kind of scale, that is mind-boggling how quickly Google could gain an edge.
Well, and this is really an example. To me, I'm kind of lately on a kick saying, stop calling it AI. That's a marketing term. Machine learning I can live with, but AI is a marketing term, except that this is AI now. This is actually, here, listen to this one. This is a much more challenging call.
I couldn't have done this phone call. I
No.
couldn't have done through this.
But maybe it's a small restaurant which is not easily available to book online. The call actually goes a bit differently than expected. So take a listen.
See how may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to reserve a table for Wednesday the 7th.
For 7 people?
Okay, so the human misunderstood the assistant. He was saying at 7 p.m. She thought he said for 7 people.
Maybe she's a robot. That would be awesome.
She did a worse job of understanding him than he does of understanding, or it does of understanding her. She's actually pretty difficult to understand. Listen to how this continues. So she's already throwing it. I got to say it. It's really tempting to say him, isn't it? It, a curve.
It's for 4 people.
4 people when?
Next Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Oh, actually, we reserve for upper 5 people.
Now, if you are not watching the video and didn't see the caption, what the human just said is, we only allow reservations for more than 5 people. So
4 people, you can come.
For 4 people, you can come.
How long is the wait usually to be seated?
Now, that's actually the right response to that, which is, I don't need a reservation. Well, how long will I have to wait? That's a very sophisticated, I think, response.
When, tomorrow or weekday or?
For next Wednesday, the 7th.
Oh, no, it's not too busy. You can come for 4 people, okay?
Oh, I gotcha. Thanks.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Wow.
This is Turing test level.
Turing test level. This is beyond. Yeah, this is very impressive. You know, Google Duplex since then has become available for some users of Google Assistant. I think I get calls from Google Duplex from time to time. They certainly seem like kind of odd people with the ums and the yes. We also talked about something that is a story that is still going on and is going to become bigger and bigger. The Chinese social credit system, towards the end of the year, Beijing announced it too was going to adapt this social credit system, and it's just a matter of time before it's used all over China. That's terrifying. Watch.
I just put on the bottom of the rundown, George Nima, who's an old friend of mine who's in Europe, went to China and learned about the social credit system.
Oh, fascinating.
Oh, and that is good.
Really, really scary. And what happens in China, of course, is that the populace finds things that don't get caught. So white supremacists in America are now talking about pit bulls, and killing pit bulls is a secret language for anti-white in the view.
Oh, interesting.
So, but you look at this
killing
Chinese
them?
thing.
No, they just say it because the pit bulls
So
are proxies for white people.
Oh.
Words cannot. So he writes here. George writes here. Words cannot describe the way I feel right now. I am shaking physically. But the Chinese government is implementing a system which will assign a social credit rating to every citizen based on government data regarding their economic and social status. It works as a mass surveillance tool. It uses big data analysis technology. In addition, it's also meant to rate businesses operating in the Chinese market. If you've seen Black Mirror's Nosedive, this is it. I mean, we have seen that. That's exactly what it sounds like. The rating algorithm, known only to the government. President Xi's plan is based on the stated government principle, once untrustworthy, always restricted.
That's chilling.
Minorities.
Hey, we don't let felons vote.
Right. Minorities and minority opinions will be negatively rated as a result of this program. Political dissidents, journalists, and jaywalkers, petty thieves, and others. The consequences of negative ratings, and we've heard some of this, include restricted movement, career potential, access to services. People who, get this one, who associate with people with negative rankings will also be negatively ranked. So there's an incentive to isolate and marginalize minority opinions. There is no appeal process. Once you're rated, that's it. There's no system to challenge positive or negative ratings. And he CCs you, Jeff.
Yep.
Yes. This is, Kevin and I talk about this stuff all the time because we're intrigued by it. What's crazy is the amount of technology that we have deployed that China is using in this process. So think the surveillance cameras, actually they're putting wearables on workers to track their emotions during work so they can understand what makes a person productive.
We do have something very similar here in the United States. It's called a FICO score.
Yeah, this is not like a FICO score.
But good luck appealing your FICO score.
Yes, but that only affects your credit rating, which does. I'm not saying that's not insignificant, but this can affect like if your kid gets into the right school and not being able to travel.
Your FICO score. There's redlining. We never got rid of redlining in this country.
No.
And there's all sorts of subtle economic redlining. I agree. We are not anywhere near what China's doing, but that is absolutely the end game, the potential for this kind of stuff. And that's why it really is important we pay attention to it.
Government's more frightening than companies.
Well, so that's a good question. We assume that the government's more frightening because they have these broad, unrestricted powers. But the way our current government's going, if you look at like what happened with, is it Experian or Equifax? I can't remember which one.
Equifax.
Not getting.
I called them Experian for a while, but it's Equifax.
Yes. So not getting in any trouble. If you look at how companies are corrupting our government, it's kind of boiling down to the same thing.
Well, I think that's why I mentioned FICO scores, because that is not governmental. That is private industry. And while it is nowhere near as nasty as the social credit system in China, it has some of the same attributes. And it doesn't have to just be government. If it's going to happen in the U.S., it's probably going to happen through private corporations, I would bet.
Well, and there are insurance firms who look at like your Facebook friends to see if
there are employers who look at your Facebook friends before they hire you.
And mortgage. It's credit risk too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all in there. So it's just this is a cautionary tale. This is something we should be
very much so.
This is the end game on stuff like this. Here's something I might get addicted to. Larry Page's flying car made its public debut today. Kitty Hawk unwrapped its updated vehicle on Wednesday and allowed a CNN reporter to pilot the vehicle with less than an hour's worth of training. The update says it's so easy that you can learn how to fly this flying car without hardly any training at all.
I'm going to give you the predecessor here. Very important. Hold on one second. This is something that may be too old even for you and me.
Look at it. Look at it. It's so cute. It's got to be noisy. Can you hear the? Are you getting my audio, Carson?
Very few of us.
Maybe they're not going to. Maybe they're not going to give us the. Look at that. That's got to be noisy.
That is cool. That is cool, though. So then what happens to the wheel? So when it lands,
it's got 10 propellers.
How does it?
It's got pontoons.
So it lands vertically, and then does it drive? I want to see it drive. It's a car.
Or does it just land in the water?
Why
is it only
I thought it was like a car. I think
it's a drone. No. See, well, I don't know. Kitty Hawk.
We're excited.
Kitty Hawk, the mysterious flying car startup funded by Google co-founder Larry Page, unwrapped a huge update on Wednesday. It's promising to get people in the air in under an hour. It's now open for test flights for people in place to place pre-orders.
What does it mean in the air in under an hour? Without training, you mean?
That's how much training you need. Right now, they're testing it exclusively over water at a facility in Las Vegas. After just an hour's training, the CNN reporter, Rachel Crane, was able to fly the machine at a speed of, no, this must be wrong, 6 miles an hour? That can't be right.
At a height of 10 feet above the water?
That can't be right.
Oh, Sebastian Thrun strikes again. Oh, the creator of the Google self-driving car.
He says it's as easy to use as playing Minecraft. It's powered it's powered by a lithium-ion battery, which can be used for 20 minutes.
Oops! I didn't think ahead.
At 6 miles an hour.
On the road who can't think ahead to passing one car.
That means you can go 2 miles. The joystick is so intuitive, but it's not the most comfortable thing I ever sat in, said Rachel. You can definitely feel the vibrations. 10 motors, 2 control sticks. It's conducted 1,500 test flights so far among interested business partners and social influencers. We have a chance.
Why didn't they invite you?
You. I'm not going up in that thing.
Maybe this is good for in Sydney with the water taxis. Or if you think about a place like, I don't know, Austin.
They hope the vehicles will be able one day to fly at up to 100 miles an hour over populated areas.
As opposed to swamps.
I think the 6 miles an hour must be a typo.
No, I mean, that might be. I mean, this is brand new, right? So I don't know how fast the Wright brothers plane went.
Let me see in the video how fast it looks like it's going. Looks like it's going a little faster. Well, maybe not. Oh, that's faster than 6 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's faster than 6 miles an hour. 6 miles an hour is as fast as you walk, or slower than you walk.
Yeah, well, you walk. Well, that's it's interesting. I don't know. See, I just want to keep my feet on the ground. That's why I never really hankered to be a flyer either. I don't mind commercial flights, but
Stacey, would you if you were given a free hour of training to go? Would you do it?
Oh yeah, I'd totally do it.
I'll tell you what
I want to go hang gliding, so I am clearly nuts.
I really want to buy this.
You are. I did it once. I did it in Napa after enough wine samples.
Well, I've done a glider in Napa.
Yeah.
I want to hang glide.
Hang gliding's where you did a hang glide.
Oh, hang glide? No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
no,
you're
no,
in a glider. I did a glider. You sit. It's like a plane with really big wings, and then they pull you up in the air. But what he didn't tell me is that right before the flight, they were trying to decide it was so windy if they should go up or not, and they said, "Well, this will be the last flight of the day."
Yeah, or your life.
And then as I'm getting in, my wife, we just got married, said, "Do you have insurance?" I said, "Yes, but it's not in your name." And I waved goodbye.
Nice.
We just gotten married. I hadn't had a chance. I think people know by now that Jeff Jarvis is a German speaker. He loves Germany. He goes to Germany all the time. Even though Germany's kind of funny about privacy, I think of all the countries in the world, the Germans are most worried about Google. The funny thing is, Germans, as Jeff Jarvis has pointed out many times, will all go naked in a sauna together. But heaven help us if you should be snooping on them while you're shopping for Brot. We're going to let you go, Jeff, so why don't you give us your number?
Okay. Well, maybe a bonus.
A
My
bonus?
favorite little thing of the week. A non-number one, but I like this. So where was it here? So somebody on Twitter posted this. I loved it. A sign, Timo Grün posted this at a German bakery.
Yeah.
Datenschutzgrundverordnung, a data protection basic right. Achtung, in our bakery, we are likely to recognize you by name and your favorite baked good. If you do not want this, shout as soon as you enter, I do not agree. And we will try our best to not know you.
Can we print this out in the original German and put it on the door? Yes.
Achtung!
Achtung!
In unserer Bäckerei werden Sie auch gelegentlich mit dem Namen angesprochen und wir merken uns, welches Ihr Lieblingsgebäck ist. Sollten Sie das nicht wollen, rufen Sie einfach beim Betreten, ich bin nicht einverstanden.
We'll know if every once in a while somebody shouts, ich bin nicht einverstanden, that they read German.
Oh, I just love that so much. It's not a number, but I love it.
I want to print that sucker out.
That device, Jeff, that you just unboxed and you started setting up, that's running on Android things. Did you know that?
I do, but explain what that means to me because I just
Well, it's like a stripped down, more specialized version of Android specifically made for IoT implementations. Okay. But what you'll notice when you're playing around with the UI on that is that it's very much in line with kind of Google's new direction of user experience and UI. It doesn't look like Android necessarily. It kind of has its own thing going, but along their kind of style guidelines, it's really nice.
Yeah.
And it comes with additional support. And so it's not still crazy long support, but you'll have it for a little bit longer. And that's good because these devices shouldn't die. Some of them won't die after 3 years, for example.
Let's hope not.
Oh. So what all can I do with this wonderful little thing? Can I watch CNN?
You can.
MSNBC? So
Kevin bought one, and we talked about it on our show earlier today. So I can tell you, if you would like to know, all the things that Kevin has done with his 36 hours of the device.
But Kevin is a show-off, but that's okay. That's why we love him.
He is the most delightful show-off. So he connected it to his YouTube TV account. So he watched CNN. He said he could voice control it. So he would say, turn to channel 10 on CNB or turn to channel 10 on YouTube TV, and it would work. Netflix is built in. So you can say, hey, watch, Nailed It on Netflix, and that'll happen. YouTube works. It's also a Chromecast. And here's my favorite thing. You can set it up to Chromecast your Google Photos. Sorry, not Chromecast. You can set it up to show your Google Photos when it's like in neutral mode, so off, but not really off. So those are all really cool things. And then it ties into if you have a Nest doorbell or a Nest camera, it's going to tie into those. So you can say, hey, show me the front door, and it will. Ooh. But there's like a 6 to 7 second delay.
Yeah, but it does if this is in your kitchen or whatever, which I think is kind of the default, like, what do I do with this? It seems like a great kitchen device, right? If you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, maybe you want to watch something, or maybe you want a recipe is always another big use case for something like this. Looks really nice.
Okay, what's the news?
Here's the latest news.
Prepare yourself.
NPR.
Prepare yourself for the latest news. Take a deep breath, Jeff.
I don't want that. No, stop. I don't want that now. Stop me.
And you'll as you play around with it, you'll get kind of more used to. It took me a little getting used to last night on All About Android. The kind of swipe actions from the side to get to the different pieces of information that it can surface and all that kind of stuff. But
now it's like in the back. How do I? It's in the background playing me this. I don't want it.
Tell it to stop. Hey, stop.
Oh, that's right. Hey, stop. I feel so powerful.
You did that, Jeff. Congratulations.
Good job, Jeff.
I did that all by my notes, only because Stacey told me.
I'm going to do the dad. I'm calling these dad hands or Jeff hands from now on, because that's the exact same thing I do when something. I'm like, don't do it.
What do I do? Oh.
No, my favorite thing you do, Stacey, is when you get excited when you do the ooh.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm going to get excited about stuff later today because I was at Google's cloud conference last week.
That's right.
And those
where there was
edge
a lot
processors.
announced.
Yeah, it's exciting. Okay. Someone in the chat room asked if it works with Ring. It doesn't work with Ring yet.
Yeah,
so
that's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
Ring, of course, sponsor on the Twit Network. But that would be.
I can find Calm.
What I would want to use it for in the kitchen.
That's one of the things I can do. I can find Calm. I lost it about 40 years ago.
You can find Calm? Calm?
I don't think Google's going to help you with that, Jeff.
I can play.
What does it do when you find Calm?
noises?
Or like white noise and stuff?
That's incredibly irritating and will not make me calm.
Jeff. I think something might be wrong with your Lenovo
Google,
Smart Display.
Stop that.
Don't ever do that again, Jeff.
Can it go portrait to landscape, or is it one way?
Supposed to, yeah, but I didn't.
It's supposed to when we do video call. Let me see if I can. Here, I'll show it once the call is made because it shows information on the screen. You know, I don't want to show your number or all the people in my contacts list. Let's see here. So I'll put in Jeff.
All I get is spam calls anyway.
So, it says I have to invite you. Okay.
You called me a minute ago.
Well, no, I went into Duo and it's in order to call Jeff, it said I had to invite you. That's because I'm trying to call you from.
Add me on Duo. Okay. Add me on Duo.
Here,
Use
I'll just
this
call
link.
your number. I did it through the contacts this time, and for whatever reason it. Okay, so give me a second here.
Verify your number. No.
Yeah, it just takes me to Hangouts now. That's weird. It worked before.
Phone number verified. Okay.
This is the story of the internet right here.
See, it just works every time. Oh, hey, now it's working.
Now it's coming into my phone, but it's not coming into the Duo, into the thing.
It's not?
Oh, what? Oh, you probably haven't hooked your phone up to the Duo so it knows your number. Does the Duo, did you when you signed up on the
I think
Duo
I did,
in the
but
app?
I did it on the home. Yeah. The home app.
Okay. Then,
Well, have Jeff call you.
Yeah, so I just put my number into the doc chat.
Okay, hold on.
We'll
How do I
take that
make a
and
call?
do that. We'll see if that works.
See. Explore more things you can do. Where's make a call? Oh, I see. I just tell it, right?
Yes. Hey, G, call Jason Howell.
I wonder if that'll work.
Okay. Oh, hey. Hey, call. Make a call.
I don't know how to make a call.
Okay, make a call.
Who do you want to call?
So now I
say Jason.
Pick
Did it
another
ask who?
contact.
Yeah, I might not be saved in
You're not in my contact. I can't just put a number in?
You should be able to. So I can dial from Google Home. I can say, okay, call blah, blah, 512-555-6682.
Okay, hold on.
But if you do that, mute.
I'm turning my mic off.
Probably a good idea. And we can we could just wait for it to happen. See, these on-show demonstrations always work right
This is how people can see the learning curve. They're like, oh, Google actually dialed that for me.
Oh.
I'm like, someone's talking to me.
Thankfully, it was just a 555 like fake number.
Yes.
At least he didn't say 911. That would have been awkward.
It's giving me a few notes first telling me emergency numbers aren't available.
Okay, good. All right, so I'm waiting. Once I start to see something here, I'll let you. I'm getting a notice on my Pixel book. I'm not getting. No, I'm getting a private call number or private incoming call. That's not Duo. No, that took me to phone.
That's you.
Hi.
But it's only audio. There's no video. Oh, it's a call.
How's it going? Yes, this is the.
I'm very confused. I need to find some calm.
I think we all need to find some calm. I'm going to hang up on you now.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Hey, how do you guys feel about notches? I think I know how Google feels about notches.
I don't mind my notches. You just kind of go blind to them. But 3 notches, where are they putting all these notches? That was my question.
I'm not sure that we'll see a 3-notch. Well, we definitely won't on Android because apparently only 2 notches are allowed in Android P. They've mandated a requirement of only 2 notches, only the bottom and top, and only 1 per side. So you couldn't. So in other words, you couldn't have your 2 notches both on top. Not sure why you would want to do that, but Google has gone to the lengths to make sure that you don't. Because who knows?
Someone might design a phone. It's all notches.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, like almost like a border. A border of notches.
Yeah, like a scrapbook border, like a cute little, like...
Why? Because we can. This is for the notch lover.
First of all, we should say that Google has not announced this, but there was a rumor that Google was going to work on a censored version of Google Search. This comes from The Intercept, Ryan Gallagher, for China. Leaked documents reveal Google's planning to launch a censored version of its search engine in China that will blacklist websites and search terms about human rights, democracy, religion, peaceful protest, all the things the Chinese government doesn't like. According to The Intercept, the project, codenamed Dragonfly, has been underway since the spring of last year. Was accelerated in December when Sundar Pichai met with a top Chinese government official. And there are huge protests at Google from Google employees who say, no, we got out of China because we didn't for a good reason. Their human rights record.
So we talked about this last week.
Oh, it's over. Okay, never mind.
No. I was going to say...
the stories kept going, yeah.
Yeah, the story kept going. So last week it had just broken. Jeff and I were talking about, Jeff, as one can imagine, this is evil. Google should draw a line and stick to it. I didn't use the word
evil, but I said I was disappointed.
Yeah, and I think that I've said before when it comes to Apple, for instance, working with the Chinese government, that American companies need to stand up and say we're not going to work in authoritarian regimes, even if we could make a lot of money there.
You could argue that they work with authoritarian regimes right now in the U.S. But
this is not an authoritarian regime.
What I'm going to say,
come on. You may not like it, but we don't. This is not comparable to China yet.
There are some practices that are actually. But
I guess
I was going to say,
all right, I guess
I was waiting for.
As long as you're not an immigrant, it's okay here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I was waiting for Google employees to weigh in, and they did. And predictably, they are unhappy. So I will see. I'm curious what happens from that perspective if individual Googlers end up preventing this or what goes on there.
This is that old argument companies make that, well, we have to obey the laws of the countries we work in. The thing that's different about Google is
if you choose to be in them.
Google decided not to do business in China because of its human rights record, and now they're apparently considering going back. It's, of course, tempting because there's a lot of money to be made in China. It's a billion Chinese people who are active, avid internet users in many cases.
I'll make a prediction.
Go ahead.
Even if they do everything in China once, which is a lot more now than it would have been when they left, which is a story up on the rundown, the rules have gotten worse and worse. Even if they did everything that China wanted, they'll fail there because you have to be a Chinese company to succeed.
Yeah, Baidu has said, "Oh, we'll beat them easy. Come on in, Google." Baidu is the Google of China. So China already blocks Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. So Google would have to block all that. This is from The Observer. Anything that's anti-communism party content, any political dissidents, of course, that's obvious. Controversial news content, pornography.
Controversial being defined as things that are critical of government.
Yeah. Revelations of business or political scandals. Anything harmful to social stability. Pornography, gambling, and violence. Winnie the Pooh is banned in China, and that goes back to the fact that dissidents compared President Xi to a bear. During his visit to the U.S. in 2013, a meme comparing a photo of him and Barack Obama to an image of Pooh and Tigger went viral in China. Xi didn't like it. Winnie the Pooh's been banned ever since. Google, do you really want to be in a country where an autocratic leader can ban an image because he doesn't like it, because he finds it insulting?
I don't know. It's just the world now. Can I tell you my favorite story of the week?
What's that?
The smart replies story.
Oh, okay, so kick that one off, because I think I may have missed this one.
So, yeah, I put it at the last minute.
Yeah.
So smart replies, looks at all these responses and makes up a response that you should give an email. And I've talked about how I feel guilty using it. Like the human didn't really send you this reply, which says, yes, I'll be there.
Yeah.
No problem, right? All these smart replies are there. Well, AI goes off our behavior. So guess what smart reply tried to get people to say often? Which could, by the way, I think improve the whole world. I love you.
Oh. That was nice of it.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
But you can imagine. I mean, you got an email with your boss and you accidentally hit "I love you." Yeah.
There's still that signal, though. I'm down with that. Plant that seed, Google.
Maybe Google should force us all to do that.
Plant that seed. All this hate going around in this world. Plant that little seed of love. I totally dig that. As annoying as it may be to some.
What? Don't even give us the opportunity. Just start sneaking that in at the very end of every one of our emails to each other, and suddenly, think of the impact that would have if suddenly everyone's email ended with "I love you." There would be change, man.
With regards to the smart replies, I do like the fact that there's one little detail within them, and that's the exclamation point. Speaking with a colleague of mine over the years regarding corporate communication to people, and I had to train him up. I said, you could say the same thing and put a period on the end versus an exclamation point.
Yeah.
And it just makes a world of difference to an end user. If you just say thank you, period, they just think you any other IT jerk. But if you say thank you with an exclamation point, they feel like, hey, he has personality, even though you're no different.
So I was thinking the other day.
Yep.
Something about that exclamation point really makes a difference. And I'm starting to see that more and more in the smart replies that come up in my messages.
It's
Well, and is that but that's a reflection of how you communicate, right? Smart.
I don't know, because it's everywhere.
Talk like that.
You don't add a lot of exclamation points.
No,
I have always used tons of exclamation points, almost to the point to where I feel like I overuse them, and so I've had to peel back in the other direction. But I've definitely noticed my smart replies use them, and I just kind of assumed it was because I do.
No, it's definitely not me.
Okay.
A friend of mine said that she was dating a guy, Yaley. Which goes to this, and he had a rule that said you should use 3 exclamation points in life, and he'd already used 1.
I like him.
I said I'm glad you didn't marry him. So I'm old enough, gentlemen. I am old enough. Not only did I use a typewriter, not only did I use a manual typewriter. I was thinking about this the other day. I completely forgot this. In my day. When I took typing class in 6th grade, the way to get an exclamation point was you had to hit a apostrophe, then backspace, period.
Wow.
So you better really mean to use the exclamation point.
You had to do DIY exclamation points.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, huh? How old is that?
We'd be a lot less assertive if it took that much work.
Right.
But see, my personality, I've always tried to be, black and white, binary, if you will, because I personally think that keeps confusion down when I'm trying to communicate a plan to someone or whatever that we have going on, because I hate it when I was working in the world of support, saying something to a user and they just totally go the opposite direction of what I was expecting, or they felt like I was going to do a different action at a different time. And so I trained myself to just be as robotic as possible. Mm-hmm. It may sound rude to people, but that's how I got stuff done. Just black and white, periods, commas, perfect capitalization. Every now and then throw an exclamation point if I felt like somebody needed a warm and fuzzy, but most of the time, no.
Oh man, I'm so the opposite of that, and I realize
just ask my family.
Yeah, like I so often I'll write an email and then I have to go and part of my checking the email is to make sure I have put in too many exclamation points. It's like every sentence ends with it. I'm like, why am I so excited about every single thing I'm saying right now? To replace them with periods, and I have to specifically go in there and do that. I realize I'm admitting too much right now.
Yeah.
I'm being a little too open to you all. It's because I love you.
Well, despite all the leaks all year long, in fact, I think the Pixel 3 phone was the most leaked phone of all time. There wasn't anything we didn't know about it. When it came out, we were still pretty excited about it. Here's our first look at Google's latest phone.
I got a Pixel 3 XL.
Whoa. There it is. Let's see the notch. You can't even see the notch.
Well, yeah, that's because it's an iPhone. Hang on.
That has a notch too, by the way. There's the notch. That's not that big.
That's obnoxious. It's awful.
It's double the height. It brings the status bar almost to like double the height, and that's what people are going off about. And I get it. It's not ideal, but I don't think it's terrible.
$799 for a 64 gig version, $100 more for a double the memory, 128 gig storage version for the XL, and $100 less in each category for the smaller.
$799 or $899?
Was it $799? Oh, that's what it was. $799 for the Pixel 3, $899 for the XL,
$999 for the top.
Yeah, I ended up spending $999 because I got double.
I am not going to buy, I've been a Pixel or a Google hardware person forever. That's too much money. And I would get the smaller version because, tiny hands and pockets and all that nonsense.
And there's no notch in the smaller version, right, Kevin?
Correct. It's just a small chin and forehead.
So chin and forehead?
That's what we call it.
Forehead?
Now. Like the old Pixel 2 XL.
Right, a top and bottom bezel.
There's a chin.
What the kids used to say.
And a forehead. No, it's a chin
and a forehead. Oh, that's new.
Which everybody wonders because the new XL has a chin, but no forehead.
Instead, it's
like my first girlfriend.
It has lobotomy.
So, I'm sorry, Kathy. That was not a good thing to say. You had a little bit of a forehead. But she didn't have a notch. I'm pretty sure. So why?
Stacey, I'm doing it for you now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did you see me just open my mouth in horror there? I'm like, oh, stop talking.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's just a joke.
Yeah, so I'm going to come in a year to Kevin and be like, yo, Kevin, give me a cheap phone, or give me a good recommendation because with Android, what is it? What does Google call the now everyone gets Android at the same time kind of effort?
Android One.
Android One. I was going to say Android first.
And Treble makes that possible.
Yeah, Treble.
Code name.
And Treble. So
yeah, Stacey,
I still would get a Google phone. I don't trust anybody else with Android.
Why did you what impressed
I have a
you
Note 9 in the other room, and I don't trust Samsung with Android.
So you said before it was over, you ordered it. What impressed you?
Well, I think the camera, and I'm sure Kevin will have something to say about that. But it's and so far I've heard from and seen from a number of people who were at the event and handled it that it's everything that last year's was not. That the screen this time is very good. That the feel in the hand is very good. I like it that it has wireless charging because every other phone I use has wireless charging. That's a real convenience for me. I bought the stand just to try it because it sounded like it had special features. It somehow recognized. Actually, that's another question which is yet unanswered. Does it automatically turn on the screensaver, the Daydream, photo album, and the larger clock if it's not on its Pixel stand?
Are we going to see an unboxing now?
We could do that. I haven't opened it yet, only because I have a wireless charger already.
Yeah.
And those special features either are not enabled yet on the review model because there are a few software bits not here yet, or it's smart enough to know, hey, this isn't a Pixel stand. I'm not going to do the special stuff. But you're right that when on that stand, it kind of turns the phone into a limited mini Google Home Hub in a sense because it can show you your photos.
Right.
It has your routine buttons for the Google Assistant, and it'll even show your Nest camera doorbell or doorbell camera rather if somebody rings the doorbell.
Yeah, so that's kind of
so.
neat.
Kevin, would you buy it?
Jeff, I'm in a different position at this point because I'm kind of like trying to budget things for the first time in my life. And I literally just bought 2 months ago a $325 Nokia 7 Plus, which lasts for 2 days. It's speedy enough for me. The camera's decent enough. So given that, I'd probably say no. If I had the money to burn, yeah, I probably would, just because the camera features alone have blown me away in the past just 24 hours.
This does highlight Google's problem, though. If people have enough money, they'll probably buy an iPhone, because people who buy Android phones tend to be budget consumers. And
I don't know about that.
I think so. I think that's the real problem. And if they're not budget consumers, they're probably buying Samsung. We know that Google only sold 10 million Pixel 2s in a year.
Yeah, but go on, Kevin.
Well, Leah, I think you're partly right and partly wrong. And I say that because the difference is there really isn't many cheap iPhone options unless you want something that's 2 or 3 years old, right? So if you're going to have iOS, you've got to pay, X amount of dollars.
If you've got a lot of money, you're going to get an iPhone.
Sure. Well, Samsung does sell a lot of Galaxies. It does. It's not their biggest money maker in terms of overall volume times, profit. So that's why they have the low and mid-range phones.
That's problem number 2 for Google is if you've got a small, I think there's a smaller number of Android people who are willing to spend money. But those people are buying Samsungs. So problem number 2, at the very best, Google's dividing the high end of the Android market with Samsung at the best.
What's their business goal? Is it to be a highly profitable item, or is it still to set the bar?
Sure looked like watching the event, it looked like that they think they're a player. They want to be a player.
Really?
This is not a reference product.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They must have some, and this probably comes into their CFO, who's been there, at least 2 years now. They probably have some hard targets on that hardware division now, because things have changed ever since Ruth Porat came on. Yeah. They want to make serious money out of that hardware division.
So I have my year-old Pixel 2. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I forget what you call it. Do you still get the always-on notification screen thing like this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that feature.
I do love that. I do love that a lot. So this is a year-old phone. It's perfectly good. It's wonderful. Kevin, your advice to me, not that I'm rich, I'm not, but is the camera alone worth upgrading? Put it that way.
From what do you have now? What do you have now, Jeff?
The Pixel 2.
I don't have one of those anymore. I have a first-gen Pixel.
Here's part of the question mark, and maybe Kevin can help us with this. Google wasn't completely clear about which of the camera features are migrating to the Pixel 2 and which aren't.
Ah, right.
Both of them are using that same chip, the image engine, and it sounded like they now, in the announcement, that some of these features, if not all of these features, are going to be available at least on the Pixel 2, if not other Android phones.
Yeah, I'm not.
The night thing?
I suspect the night sight is not going to be pushed down, and that is just an opinion. I don't have hard information on that. I also believe, and I've been trying to research this afternoon, I'm kind of coming up short, if they upgraded that visual core chip in this model. I know they put the Titan security chip in here, but obviously that has nothing to do with photos. I seem to believe they have updated the visual core chip, in which case some things may not come all the way down the line.
This is a Lifehacker article on how to get some of the features, or what features, and this is the problem, is Google wasn't clear in the announcement, but which features will migrate down. No, I don't want that. Thank you. According to Google, here you go. According to Google, Night Sight will be rolling out to previously released Pixel smartphones in the coming weeks.
Oh, okay.
Duplex. Duplex is getting a full release on the Pixel 3 devices and will be coming to other Pixel phones in November.
Remind us what Duplex is.
That's that assistant that talks to you. And adds uhs. And so this is so they announced.
Stacey, was that your imitation of a computer?
No, that was just
oh, that was an not an
The call screening, which I think everybody in the room, Kevin, enjoyed a lot, the idea that the call screening driven by Google Assistant on phone call screening will also be on all Pixel phones.
I think they stole that.
They stole it from
themselves with Google Voice.
Ah, yes, Google Voice does that. But Google Voice, it's not quite the same, because with Google Voice, you have to have a preset in the Google Voice settings where you say, hey, if they're not on my, for instance, if they're not on my contact list screen, or if they're an unknown caller screen. This one, as a call comes in, you can press a button that says screen that one. In real time, Google Voice does not do that. That is awesome.
Cool.
So, because I'm getting calls all the time from like Apple. And I'd love to just press, instead of just hang up on them, screen it or something. Playground and improved AR will launch first in the Pixel 3, but roll out to other Pixel phones soon.
All right, so I might be sticking with. I can't wait. We're not there yet. I know, and I don't want to get ahead. But what I'm most looking forward to is Kevin's view of the Pixel book.
Okay, we'll get there.
We're gonna get there. I know we're not there yet. That's my. If I'm gonna spend $1,000 or more, where's it gonna go?
Let's continue on with the phone, because Kevin, you said something that I think intrigues everybody listening. You were very excited about the camera.
Yes. So I've been playing with the camera. Again, it does not have the night sight yet. It did just get the playground feature this morning. So I was having Iron Man run around my house, a virtual AR type kind of thing. The front-facing selfie mode, portrait mode rather, and selfie, I thought is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I don't know if we can share a picture that I took, but
yes,
I took one in. It's on the rundown. I tried to share it through Google Photos. Hopefully it is shareable or viewable, I should say.
All right. Where did you put it in the?
It's line 20.
Line 20. Oh, self-portrait. Here it is. I've got it. Yep.
Can you see it? I'm not sure.
So one of the things Marquez Brownlee did is took a picture of himself in his car, and he said, "Sure isn't softened like the iPhone XS." Yeah, look at that. Whoa. Look at the detail.
Wow. Stubble. We can count his stubble.
Now, we're blowing this up a lot, but actually that looks, and look at the bokeh.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
This looks good. This looks really good.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm very impressed with that.
The way the iPhone's doing it is actually kind of weird. It's softening a lot of it. It's over processing it, and a lot of people complained about that. That's really the competition, of course, is the new iPhone XS. The iPhone is now doing what Google did last time with the Pixel 2, which is taking multiple images. Did you say they don't yet have the best shot feature? Is that not there? Or
yeah, so you have to turn the motion on. There's a setting in the phone to do that, and you can turn the motion on, but it's not yet showing you which is the recommended photos, nor is it letting you choose a photo. However, that picture I just took or just showed was actually at the Google, because I went there after lunch to hang with some of my old teammates, and I did see that feature and got to use it. They're dog fooding it right now. So it's probably going to show up like any day on the Pixel 3 XL. It was very, very cool in the demo, and then I got to use it, and it worked really, really well. Like, we were being goofballs, like blinking and sticking our tongues out, and it was able still to capture a decent photo. So
this was actually my favorite moment in the event. It's worth probably showing it again. This is Google explaining why they did Top Shot. Do you hear the audio? You don't hear the audio.
Yeah, this was a great video.
Let me try again.
So a lot of pictures of just the wrong moment. Guys jump off the cliff, but you don't get it. Lots of people with terrible faces. She's blown out the candles, but they only get it afterwards. The tie is in the face of the bride. Guys walking through the picture. Everybody has taken these pictures where you just miss the shot. I love this. So what Google lets you do is, so this is interesting, you have to have live picture turned on, is go back. It will make a recommended, based on, they said AI, recommended Top Shot, but you could also choose from other ones.
And it doesn't store every one of those, killing your, I guess it's free storage anyway, so what does it matter?
Right.
I'm going to have to defer to Kevin because he's the only one who owns one. Mine will come a week from tomorrow. Yours too, probably, right?
I haven't ordered one.
Yes, it will.
It'll
just order it now.
You're the devil.
He's waiting to hear about the Pixel book. Let's wait. Let's help Jeff out.
Wait, the suspense.
I did not order the slate, so this will be an interesting.
This will be interesting to see what we go on to. Yeah.
So you said the Top Shot is not enabled. I wonder though, on the iPhone, if live photos turned on, it actually degrades the quality a little bit. The other images are not as good quality as the one you took. I'm sure Google's not doing it that way. They have enough horsepower in this thing, and especially with the image, special dedicated image chip, that they could have full quality images. I hope, but that's that's a problem with live photo.
I think it's a combination of, and something that Google I think is better at than Apple. It's a combination of like a burst mode, camera type implementation, as well as a processing software side and AI to kind of choose the best image for you. So
does it take the image? So it must start capturing the minute you go to the camera or the minute you raise the phone. Certainly, it starts capturing before you press the button, because that's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know exactly when it starts to capture. It might be always capturing and then just saving the, a few seconds before and after. I have no idea.
I await the privacy police.
No, this is...
Well, it doesn't take it if your camera's not open, presumably.
Right. I think this is... even the privacy police can't be...
You wait. You just wait, Higgins.
Did you put Childish Gambino in your in with Norm? Because that would have been cute.
I didn't do that yet.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's the augmented reality stuff. Again, we saw that. This is not actually new. We just saw it.
Did they offer a compelling use case yet
for this?
For augmented reality? Serious. I'm like, are we still just... I actually see it in industrial IoT and some other things, but no, I haven't seen anything for it to be on my actual phone. So I was just curious. Someone might come up with something, y'all.
It looks like...
Stacey, how long will you be in Seattle before you stop saying y'all? Does it wear off?
Oh, no, they love it in Seattle.
Oh, is that it? Okay,
yeah. They just think that's so cute.
It is cute.
Here's an interesting point from the Google keyword blog, product blog. It does notice where you're taking a picture and then suggest an appropriate overlay. Okay, this is like Snapchat Lite, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's doing some gardening, and it suggested that she put a little green thumb thought bubble.
So what that says, it knows the place, and it kind of knows the activity.
I expect more of this from Google, because this is the kind of thing Google Photos is already doing.
Yeah.
It's contextual. It kind of understands what it's seeing.
It's almost like bringing Google Lens and Google Assistant together into your compositions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But again, you can't judge this stuff by demos, by blog posts. You got to get the phone.
I'm going to wait till you get it.
Yeah. Well, I won't have it next week, but I'll have it the week after.
Okay.
I won't be getting it at all.
So, Stacey, which one are you carrying now?
I have the Pixel 2.
The 2. Okay, so yeah. So
and it's fine.
I might agree. I might be there too. I might stick with that.
So I'm good with it until I drop it or do something horrible, and then poof.
That's me.
I'll get... What'd you say, Kevin? I should get the Nokia something?
The new Nokia 7. It's kind of technically called the 7.1, but it's basically what I just bought, upgraded, slightly smaller and better screen. And unlike mine, which is an international version, it has the US band support, so that would work here, and it's $350. But I think your issue is going to be Verizon.
Oh.
Or
I don't know if
my
they have
issue
Verizon.
is always Verizon.
The Pixel will be available. Pixel 3 will be available on Verizon. I want you to know. We're going to get you.
They actually gave us a Verizon SIM card
Follow
with us
the
to
light,
test.
Stacey. Follow the light.
I have received. Oh, go ahead, Stacey. Anything else you want to say about?
I was going to segue us off of old journalism to new exciting things.
The newest, latest gizmo has arrived. Okay, just to give you a sense, for those of you watching at home, if you're listening, I'll describe this. This is the Google Home Hub. The thing Google announced at Google I/O finally came today. This is a Pixel 3 phone, also announced at the same time. These are almost exactly the same size. So it was hard to tell in the announcement how big this Home Hub was. It ain't big. It's actually a little bit functional, a little bit smaller than the Pixel 7 7-inch tab, or the Nexus 7 7-inch tablet that Google used to sell. They sold that for $127. This is $149. No camera. That's a light sensor. It's an ambient light sensor. In fact, if I cover it up, you'll see at night the pictures get darker and darker and darker. So it won't keep you up at night. I have to say, though, excellent camera. This is a nice photo frame. it integrates really well with Google Photos. What I did for this is I picked people. You could choose people that you want to have in your pictures. So I chose my family, and every one of these pictures has somebody, sometimes in a tiny, tiny picture of my family in it. And it's really fun because it goes back 20 years ever since I started taking digital photos. So it's a really fun photo frame. Now I've sent it for every 10 seconds. You can make it every minute, every 5 minutes, every hour. You don't have to change it that frequently, but just for purposes of display. And it has also got Google Assistant in it. Let me turn the microphone on.
The mic's back on.
And say, I don't know, listen to This Week in Google. Oh, I have to say something first. Pardon me. Hey, play This Week in Google. I don't know if it'll work.
Sure, here's the latest episode of This Week in Google MP3, Twig 478. When a doorbell rings, a roadie gets its wings.
It's time for Twig. This Week in Google. Kevin Toffel and Stacey Higginbotham. Hey, stop. So the sound is, I think, pretty good. It's coming out of these fabric-covered speakers on the back, which is pretty good. I'm sad to say, I thought, it'll have a Type-C connector. It doesn't. It has one of those barrel plugs, proprietary barrel plugs. So, and it has, and I can't show you because it's plugged in, the poorest design for a plug I've ever seen. It's so round, and people have already started complaining it doesn't work very well in a power strip. So just be prepared for that.
Yeah, Google did that with the home. Is it the minis, I think?
Yeah.
It did that. Yeah, I was really disappointed in that.
Please, come on. So
come on, you know what we're doing with this.
The default display is a photo. You see it's still showing the twig. It's the default display. Let me turn it down a little bit because it's a little bright for us to see. You swipe up to get controls from the bottom. You use the Google Home app to control it. Oh, now I can't see anything. I love the photo slideshow, and I think that the screen is very good for that. It's more than adequate for the slideshow. It also has as you can see, a clock display, and it has a variety of digital and analog clocks you can use. But I think everybody's going to use this as a photo frame. No calling, no video calling. You can do audio calling, but
you can do Duo on it though. Kevin and I discovered that.
But no
video.
Right.
Yes.
I like this. I think at $149, this makes a lot of sense. Putting this in the kitchen, in the bedroom, no camera, right? In the bathroom.
I don't think it looks good in the kitchen. I'd say bedroom, maybe bathroom. Kitchen, I feel like I would want the larger, maybe that JBL you've got there, or maybe the Lenovo Smart Display that I've got.
You have the Lenovo. This just came out.
It's a little small.
That's a little small. I would like the 10-inch Lenovo, which I've got with me, is great for watching YouTube. You can watch YouTube on it. You can't watch Netflix yet on the larger ones, although you are supposed to eventually.
Yeah.
How much is the Lenovo?
The bigger Lenovo is $250. The smaller Lenovo is $200. The smaller is 8 inches. The big one is 10 inches.
You like this? I can slide down from the top and see my home automation stuff. So,
yes, and you can control the lights. I'm very excited.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
It is.
So these are the lights, media, broadcast. I could view the rooms. This one's in the shed. I thought that was funny. Anyway, I think this is actually a very nice device, especially at that price. And I would say I'm gonna get a couple more. I'm really pretty happy with it. I really love the photo frame. It's for me, and this makes more sense if you've stored a lot of photos in Google Photos. If you've been using the face recognition, it really is fun because it goes back in time. Here's a picture from Hawaii from like 4 or 5 years ago. So, and it's just completely random. So I like that. It doesn't sound bad. We played some music. It's not horrible. But it's better than one would expect for something this size. But of course, yeah, I'm sure the JBL will sound better. And the Lenovo sounds pretty good too. I would say the Lenovo is not hugely better than this.
I think the Lenovo sounds bad. Of course, I'm not in the same room. So
here's Henry at the prom.
I definitely like it. I would like it definitely bigger. I've been trying to. I actually have a computer, a dedicated server that just plays photos, and I like them to be big so I can see.
Yeah.
Who's in and stuff.
Well,
I thought about building.
If you want really big, of course, if you got a TV that's cast enabled, you can always just put them
I
up on
do
your
that.
TV, right? And get 70 inches of photos. Did you get up this morning and watch the Samsung Developers Conference keynote, Stacey?
I did not get up this morning to watch that. However,
I did.
I did see the news. Do we want to go into that? Because I can.
There's a foldable phone. That's what I was watching.
It looked really cool in the demos, but then someone was tweeting how with the lights on, you can clearly see the line of demarcation.
The guy who was demonstrating it said, "This is not what it looks like. We've hidden it inside a case. This is normal practice with a new phone. Apple does it too. They hide them inside of kind of industrial generic cases so you can't see the details. But what he is showing is a phone that has a screen on the front, looks kind of like a thick normal phone. Again, we don't know how thick because of the case. And then
I'm getting dizzy watching that loop.
And then he opens it up, and it's got one screen that is unfolded without any perceptible, line down the middle.
So yeah, in the other video with the lights on, you see the line down the middle. Yes. Who tweeted
They demoed it in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little hocus pocus.
There was a tweet from someone in the tech press who saw it the night before during the rehearsal run through. But I did not like it, so it's possible I will never see it again. So I was paying attention to some of the smart things stuff because, IoT.
That's when I thought of you, is during the IoT presentation. They didn't mention security at all. They mentioned interoperability. That seemed to be a key to them.
This is a different interoperability than they had pitched. So I've been watching Samsung do this for, 2014, CES 2014, maybe it was, or 2013, when Samsung's, who was it who keynoted? And he just was like, la, 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 Internet of Things, hand-holding, everything's going to be magic. This was kind of a return to that.
Yeah.
And the problem is they're grafting this vision, which is actually still very Samsung-centric, onto a platform that was designed for super nerds. And the super nerds hate the platform. And the normal people are looking at this and going, why the hell do I want my dishwasher to talk to my television?
Yeah, and the demo they used had a refrigerator with a screen bigger than this on it. I mean, it was huge.
So, I could be doing Twig from my refrigerator cam one day.
I don't think so. I'm not a fan.
But so it's kind of a cool vision, but it's not as open as you would think. It's not as transparent how we're going to get there to normal people. You have to do a lot on the back end.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it's really worth it to people who aren't named Samsung. So that's my quick 20-second take there.
It seems like and Samsung really pushed Bixby as well. Their voice assistant said they're going to spend $22 billion on AI, hire 1,000 AI developers. They brought the former developer of Siri, who, of course, when Apple acquired Siri, left Apple and started Viv, which Samsung then acquired. He's still at Samsung, and really promoted the idea that Bixby's going to be in everything.
And how do we think that's going to work?
I'm not having a couple of Bixby phones for the last year, the Note 9 and the S9 with the dedicated hardware button. Never used it, but that was from a different era. That's when Bixby wasn't a competitor to Amazon's Echo or Siri. It was just designed to open apps on the phone, to do things with apps on the phone. Now it's supposed to be a full-fledged voice assistant, which they kept saying is smarter than any other voice assistant you've used.
And it could be with Viv. So if they do this right and they create a voice assistant where you're like, hey, Bixby, let me think of it. Have my doorbell contact me when the postman gets here. If I can say something like that.
I like that.
And that actually works. And Viv actually makes that very easy to develop on the back end theoretically.
It's been
a long time.
That's what they showed. They showed a really nice developer environment. He booked a room on Mars at a hotel that was very expensive. And that was the demo. And he did a little bit of magic, turned a tape tie into a real tie, which distracted me. But it's all wishing right now from Samsung. But you know what? This is a nascent technology. Amazon has the lead right now. Google's coming on strong. Apple would like to be there as well. Microsoft's given up with Cortana. They've really said, I don't think we're going to. They actually moved it to the Office 365 group this week.
Huh.
That makes sense, though, because Cortana clearly isn't going to be in your home life, so it's only going to be your assistant for business. Right. I'll say for Bixby, here's where Bixby with the Viv could could win or do well. It's with creating those experiences in a way that's very seamless for the user and relatively easy for the developer. Because right now, if you want to do Amazon or Google, especially, Google's still a pain to develop for. It's a little bit harder. And with Viv, the theory is you would tell it you basically uses AI, and I'm using that in big quotes here, AI, to understand what a user wants to do and automatically pull together the right APIs to make that happen. So if that actually does work, that could get them into a lot of places. Just because if I had one Samsung thing and I wanted to tie it to other things, it's possible that that might work. So,
yeah, it's for every one of these companies, it's an ecosystem play. And this is the thing that's a little frustrating. And it's one of the things that's held back IoT, in my opinion, is everybody's a silo. So there's always this promise. In fact, SmartThings was a Kickstarter based on the premise that we're going to be universal. We'll talk to Zigbee. We'll talk to Z-Wave. Is it still that universal, Stacey?
It would like to be. I mean, yes, it will talk to all those radios. Yes, they have features that will tie into other APIs if a device has it. The problem is people are not building things that tie into SmartThings. Instead, everyone wants to lock down their own APIs and make it like, oh, you want to talk to the Whirlpool washing? I mean, Samsung says they'll talk to anybody, and I actually believe that they would. But Whirlpool's not going to like bust its hump to be like, oh yeah, let me have my appliances talk to Samsung appliances.
That's the problem.
And make sure they work.
It's the historic problem with home automation going back 20 years. Is everybody wants to own it. Everybody wants a silo. And all I see is Samsung saying, our silo, not Amazon's, not Apple's, not Google's, our silo. And nobody wants to be, it feels like no consumer wants to say, okay, I'm just going to buy all Apple stuff. It'll all work better.
Well, consumers do actually buy all Apple stuff just to make it work better.
They're the only one.
Craziness.
That's the only company. Samsung, no, right?
Well,
are people loyal to Samsung and say, I'm only going to buy Samsung stuff?
Some countries.
I mean, I'm sure some, I bet in Korea, South Korea, they're really big there. It's not just, I mean, one of the problems is we don't have, that's what OCF was trying to do. We don't have the equivalent of a hypertext, for the Internet of Things. So we don't have a data schema that everything uses that you can kind of build around. You have to do custom for everything. And that was the problem that we all saw back in 2013, even when Samsung was like, we'll be open, it'll be amazing. That doesn't scale. That doesn't scale beyond computing because the real world has so many more devices and things you have to care about. And the computing guys are, I don't know if they're willfully blind to this or what, but yeah. It's not, and there still aren't great use cases for some of this stuff. Like, do I need my refrigerator to talk to my television? I really don't think so.
But Stacey, is there an unused standard in this?
There's the OCF, which is long and storied and went through some efforts, and that's got Intel, Samsung, Huawei, LG are all involved, and that's basically a data schema for over 100 different devices. So it says basically like, I'm a light bulb. If you're a light bulb and you use OCF, it's going to say, this is how you recognize a light bulb. This is how it turns on, off, goes through X number of colors, dims, etc. You see Amazon took that and instead of using something like the data schema from OCF, they created a voice-related data schema with 3 different things, an on, off, a range, and a mode setting. So again, that's another way of doing it. And they exist. There's just a lot of them.
What would it take? I'm asking the two of you. For you to, I mean, Stacey is actually a bad person to ask because you do all of this. You try it all. You've got lines that won't open but could if Andrew would just say the right words, that kind of thing. But so maybe I should ask Jeff, but I'll ask you, Stacey, put yourself in a normal person's mindset. What would it take for home automation to take off?
I thought we were there. I thought way back in 2012 and 2013, I thought I saw the creation of those standards. It was all join. OCF was coming around the pike. And things like SmartThings that really did want to try to work with everything.
You'll agree, though, we're not there.
We're not. So it takes a universal standard. It takes cheaper devices, right? So at the time, you had devices that were very expensive. It also takes a really good and coherent communication of the value to an end user, which the tech companies just blew right past. Like, you can remotely turn on your crock pot is a really crappy reason to spend $150 for like a connected crock pot, right?
You're talking the guy who got Bluetooth pots and pans. I mean, it's
right.
It's dopey. It's dopey.
And that's why you see things like security systems. Those do really well. You saw the Nest do well for a while because it had energy savings associated with it.
For a while. Why did the Nest stop doing well?
I think there's a very big price ceiling of number of people who are going to spend that much. And there you go, back to price.
But I think also it's just like if you could, Jeff, if you could move into a home that it was all set up and everything worked with your voice and it worked reliably, that would be okay, right? It's the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, imagine when we had Cat 5 through the whole house. Ooh, right? But Stacey says it's right. It's about standards, and it's not just about standards that exist today. It's about standards you have the faith they're going to exist in 5-10 years.
Even more basic.
My house
than
used
that.
to have an intercom in it.
Yeah,
and it wasn't an issue of
that?
standards, but they were bad and they died, and there's still.
Remember, people would wire speakers in their house. Yeah. They spent a lot of money to put wired speakers in.
You're old enough to remember when people would wire speakers in their house.
I think
I have wired speakers.
Well, you're not, again, in no way do you represent.
Stacey, you are the queen of IoT.
What a year it has been. It's been such a pleasure working with Jeff Jarvis, Stacey Higginbotham, and, of course, the many other folks who've stopped by, like Matthew Ingram, Matt Cutts, it's Joan Donovan. It's really fun to do This Week in Google. I think of it as our kind of most intellectual show where we really get down and talk about the philosophy of technology and how it's changing our world. I hope you'll come back for 2019. I know we have lots more good shows planned for you. In fact, we'll be back next week, January 2nd, with a brand new This Week in Google every Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 21:30 UTC. Stop by and join us if you can watch live at twit.tv/live. In fact, we'd love to have you in the studio. The eggnog's on me. Just email tickets at twit.tv. We'll put a chair out for you. But, of course, as with all of our shows, on-demand audio and video are available at our website. In this case, twit.tv/twig. Best thing to do, though, and I wish you would do this for all of our shows, subscribe. That way you'll always have a brand new, fresh This Week in Google to listen to. Just use your favorite podcast application and subscribe to This Week in Google. I hope you have a wonderful 2019. I hope the holidays have been good to you, and I do hope you get to enjoy the embrace of family and friends at this special time of year. I know I plan to, and thank you for letting us take a little bit of time off. Thanks to Karsten Bondi for putting together our best of, and all of our editors who work so hard so that they can take a little time with their family. Here's to you for 2019. Have a wonderful, safe, happy, and peaceful new year. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.